Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope you're all doing well. We got the latest Manchester United updates, but most importantly, today is Freestyle Friday. So the chat, the community, the members, the VIP members, you guys are going to dictate the show. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. Obviously, we're still going to do a little bit of the updates because we haven't been live for 2 days. Some stuff has happened. And, you know, Mbeumo bid going in. Second round, 60 million in total package, 50 million up front, 10 million in add-ons. We got to talk about that. And there's a couple concerns surrounding the transfers, including the fact, I mean, we all know that we kind of have to, at some point, we got to sell to buy. But I think, you know, one of the things is that, you know, you guys talked about it last time and said that, you know, you could see Kobbie Mainoo getting sold. I don't want Kobbie Mainoo to get sold because I think it's something that doesn't really make sense in terms of his age and potential. It doesn't really make sense. And there was a report that came out today that said that apparently Kobbie Mainoo could leave the club, and we do have some money, but we're gonna need more money eventually. And I don't know. So we're gonna get into all that stuff. Please make sure you smash the like button, though, because it helps the channel grow and it pushes the channel out there. So if you want to support the channel, biggest thing you could do is smash that like button. And also, if you're not a subscriber and you enjoy the content, please make sure you subscribe, but then also hit the notification bell icon so you never miss a live. And you don't miss the beginning of the shows either, so you're just fully up to date. We also got a Discord. It's in the channel bio. We'll drop it in the chat in a little bit as well. If you want to get in there, it's good Discord. Lots of, I was going to say discourse. No, not discourse. Lots of good conversation. A little bit of discourse, to be quite honest. But that's fine. You know, we keep up to date in there with the transfer news. We send you the live transfer news when we can. For when we're not live, you get the latest updates, especially for when we are going live. So it's the most up-to-date, best place. And you can make friends in there and chat. But other than that, let's just get into the show. Lyle says, hey, Eric, and all you Reds. And Lyle says, wifey Sherry sends a big shout out to the channel. We'll tell Sherry that we say big shout out to her and thank you for all the love. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So let's get into this real quick. So I'm going to start way back because I got to start way back. Listen, I was at work. I've been trying to keep up for the past like 2-3 days while we haven't gone live. I've been busy. I've seen a little bit stories here and there. That's what your job is going to be. You're going to fill me in a little bit. But I'm going to start back to almost 24 hours ago. So if it's you know, if you already know what happened, just bear with us. We'll get up to date, but we're going to talk about it. So, you know, one of the things was Manchester United preparing a revised bid for Bryan Mbeumo after the opening offer of 55 million was rejected. Brentford are pushing for more than 60 million. That was coming from the Mail Sport and a couple other sources. Now, as we know, I just seen before we went live, the second bid has gone in, and I think it's close. If it's not agreed, it's close to being agreed. If it's not it's not officially agreed, but you know, agreed. But one of the things that I seen also the Mail Sport say, and this was wee early hours in the day, was apparently Andre Onana, Kobbie Mainoo, Garnacho, and Antony are likely to leave this summer. Now, I don't care about Onana and Antony at all. Zero. I care about Garnacho a little bit because it still doesn't feel right for me, but I get it. I mean, but it just him being the young guy, it still doesn't sit right with me. And Kobbie Mainoo definitely doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't feel right. I don't agree with it. You know, I'm okay with getting a lot of players, but for me, getting rid of Kobbie Mainoo doesn't, it makes zero sense at all, in my opinion. I think it's a bad move, and I don't think we should do it. I'm highly against it. And we could talk about that a little bit more, you know, once we get through sort of the topical stuff, because I feel like a lot of people have 50 million bid, more like 65 million ripoff. No, you know, I disagree, Kubis. I like that name. I disagree. 65 million rip-off? I don't think so. The guy's got 20 GA in the season. Actually, and I think he's actually a good player. I watch him play, you know, because I watch the Prem, all the teams. I watch all of them play. And I like him very much. And I think 50, 60 million for a Premier League player, especially, you know, what he's put in this season. Now, he does have 1 year left in his contract, so maybe you could argue that. But I think it's a decent price. I think it's a fair price. In today's market, 50, 60 million it's just a standard fee. Unless you're really buying, you know, low tier, really. But yeah, I don't really have a problem with the fee at all. I don't have a problem with the fee at all. But there's a couple things about Gyokeres. Manchester United are ready to open talks for Viktor Gyokeres, who is ready to leave Sporting for 65 million euros, which is, I believe, 60 million pounds or something like that during the summer transfer window. That was 12 hours ago. Rajat's here. Shout out Rajat. Nubis Kubis says even Newcastle are not willing to pay that price. What does that mean? Newcastle don't have that much money. Newcastle don't have that much money. Newcastle have the richest owners in the world. They can't use the money to the extent that they want. And actually, Newcastle wanted him, and he chose to come to us. So Newcastle can't even get him even if they were willing to pay the price. And we don't know what price they want to pay. But Rajat's here. Lion is here as well. Rajat says, "Yo, Eric, happy about Phil Jones." Wait, what? I didn't see that. Don't play with me, Rajat. Don't play with me, Rajat. Is he coming back? Is Phil Jones? Is he bringing the pink boots with him as well? I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't know if you're messing with me or not. I haven't been as up to date as I usually am. But yeah, let's run through this stuff and then we'll kind of just freestyle it from there. But we need to get to some of the stuff. Oh, by the way, well, we'll talk about that after, actually. So one of the updates about Mbeumo, and this came from Rudy Galletti about 10 hours ago, saying positive contacts yesterday between Manchester United and Brentford over Bryan Mbeumo. Brentford wants 60 million to 65 million total pounds, of which 50 million / 55 million is fixed. Manchester United now seriously considering a new package close to that amount, leveraging on the add-ons. Obviously, we know we've gotten to that point, but some people might not be up to speed, like me a little bit. So one of the things that came from Mark Ogden, and I know we're jumping around, but just bear with me, because usually I have it more structured, but I didn't have time. The show started late, so one of the things that came out was about Osimhen as well. You know, many people, they wanted Osimhen or Gyokeres, but you know, a lot of people out there, they really like Osimhen. They wanted Osimhen. And one of the things was Manchester United will not be pursuing a move for Viktor Osimhen. United believe Osimhen is not the profile of striker required by Ruben Amorim, which is quite interesting. We did have sort of that update. I think it was like 1 or 2 weeks ago where they maybe it was a couple days ago as well, where they said that United will not be pursuing a move for Viktor Osimhen in any fashion. This is like the third or fourth time that this has come out. So I don't know how many times you have to keep saying it until, you know, people just don't care anymore, because it's just not going to happen. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Ben Jacobs 9 hours ago saying Manchester United is set to make an improved second bid for Bryan Mbeumo. And here is the thing that has sort of concerned me. So this has actually come directly from the United stand. This was, you know, we got to give credit where it's due. 8 hours ago, this came from the United stand saying Ruben Amorim sees a new midfielder as a key component to his rebuild this summer. Now, that does match previous reports where a midfielder has been listed in, you know, the list of positions that we're trying to acquire. So that part does fit, and that checks, because it's been talked about a midfielder, I mean, since January, really, you know, and going forward. They continue on by saying, however, funds will need to be raised. We knew that. And to facilitate this, Casemiro or Mainoo would need to be moved on. Collier could also leave this summer, with the loan looking most likely. Now, if Collier gets loaned, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think it was a bit unfortunate with his injury. it was supposed to be his breakout season. To a certain extent, he was getting, time in the first team and playing some matches. He got that injury and never sort of really was able to recover properly from it and, get integrated back into the team. And we do have to have a smaller squad this upcoming season because of, the things that we're not in Europe and we're playing less matches. I don't like this bit at all. Because when it's being reported that to raise funds for a midfielder, because Ruben wants another midfielder, we either have to sell Casemiro or Mainoo. That to me just means that we're literally just selling Mainoo, because we're not selling Cas. Like, we would all sell Cas over Mainoo 100%, unless there's somebody out there that would sell Mainoo over Cas, but they're in the minority. But the majority would all sell Casemiro over Mainoo. It's literally a no-brainer. But we all know that Cas could reject it and not want to leave. I mean, Mainoo could kind of do the same, but he's also on 325 or 350,000 a week. So, I mean, his only option is really Saudi Arabia, because nobody else ain't going to pay that money for him. That's for sure. And also, he's old. And he's only getting older. So, there ain't really that much interest in him. But somebody like Kobbie Mainoo, there'll probably be teams lining up to do it. So the easiest deal is going to be Mainoo. The hardest deal, or the deal that won't materialize, is going to be Casemiro. I don't like this at all. Not one bit. I'm good for chopping up the squad, but where it makes sense. Mainoo makes 0 sense. 0 at all, because he's 19. And I think he's already a talent for his age, and he has high potential. And actually, he's just a good player. It doesn't really make sense when we've been going fairly young. Why? There has to be. There's no way that we should be doing this. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Nubis Kubis says, according to TBR Football's chief correspondent Graham Bailey about the Mbeumo situation, I've been told for a few weeks that Newcastle were balking at the price for Mbeumo. Is he the one that's a Newcastle fan? Nubis Kubis. Is he the Newcastle fan? I forget. I'm asking a genuine question, because one of them wasn't too happy that obviously, we've been put in the preferred seat. And I seen a couple of them. One of them is a Newcastle fan, and they were putting out reports, and it was like, yeah, that seems a bit salty on your end. But I don't know if it's him. Nubis also says only Mainoo has value, which is why he's going to be sold. I agree to a certain extent. He does have value, but I don't agree with it in any part way. It doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like it, and I don't want to see it, to be quite honest. I don't want to see it. If I was at the club, I would understand that we need to raise funds, but I would do almost literally anything else than sell him. Because it literally just doesn't make sense. Nubis says nobody's going to touch Cassie's salary except Saudi club. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, we all know that. You know what I mean? We all know that. Everybody knows that. Every United fan knows this. Line says Mainoo is not going to be sold, silly Billy. Well, I don't know. This is what they're saying. This is what's coming out. And his name keeps getting dropped more and more. So I hope not. Line says, I highly doubt Mainoo is sold. Such a huge talent. Nah, plus he is in negotiations over a new contract. I've always said that. It doesn't really make sense that we're negotiating a contract with him if we're up for selling him, unless they're using that as a ploy to try and get the most money, because secretly we are willing to sell him. But if we pull out of negotiations of a contract, then maybe we would get less, because then it's quite obvious that we're okay with letting him go. Whereas, like, maybe if you float it through some third-party channels or something, and somebody was like, well, let's test the waters, and they put in a 50, 60 million bid or something like that, and then maybe United go, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Up to 2. And why? Because Mainoo doesn't fit Amorim's system. Remember last season, Amorim changed Mainoo's position to the number 10, and Bruno's playing a deep position. Yeah, I understand that. So I would just, but I would keep Mainoo at the football club. I mean, right now we are rebuilding this team. We are buying or trying to buy, or we have bought young players. He is a player that it just doesn't make sense to get rid of. Even if he plays him at 10, he's still 19. I would keep the guy. I don't. For me, whatever reason that they could come up with to tell me, I'm not going to accept it, and I'm not going to agree with it because it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense in any way. He's 19. If he was at another club, and he did what he did, not this past season, the other season, we would be trying to get him and bring him to the football club. We have him at the football club, and we're looking to get rid of him because pure profit. You know, it just, you know, for me, the bigger argument is Bruno Fernandes is the one that doesn't really fit the system of Ruben Amorim. Bruno Fernandes is the 31-year-old. It would make more sense to sell Bruno than Kobbie. Kobbie's supposed to be the future, not the other way around. And what we're doing right, and Bruno has more value. Obviously, he rejected the deal, but I'm just saying. Bruno had more value because somebody was willing to give 100 million, and he's 31. It's the total opposite of Kobbie. Except the only thing is that Kobbie is pure profit, so I guess maybe you could argue 60 million for Kobbie is basically like 120 million. But now there's nothing the football club can put out through whoever they want to make me feel okay and agree with a sale of Kobbie Mainoo. There's nothing nobody could say because I'm not going to agree with it. It's just literally impossible. But to each their own, I guess. I'm not going to argue your point. I'm not gonna try and make you change your mind if you're with it. That's fine. I'm just saying. For me, it's one of those things. They're not negotiable. Kobbie Mainoo stays at this football club. Kobbie Mainoo stays at this football club. So I don't really agree with what the club per se is looking to try and do. I don't agree with this specific direction that they're doing. In this period or moment, whatever you want to call it. United only have 20 million left as they're buying Cunha and Mbeumo. Well, not necessarily. I don't think it works like that, Kubis. It came out yesterday that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment actually upped our PSR thing by like a lot. I think we're like the third highest or something like that in the league. I could actually tell you right now when I find it. So and all these deals, Cunha we've only spent 20 million. Because we're paying it in three installments. So 20 million from this season, and after we do Mbeumo, it's going to be spread over 5 years, amateurization. So it's not going to be like that. But let me just see. So here. So yesterday, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 237 million pound cash injection into Manchester United raised United's 3-year PSR loss limit from 15 million to 105 million, which is gigantic. Then there is an image here. I don't know where it's from though. This is estimates from The Athletic. So The Athletic put up an image and says most Premier League clubs. Actually, I could just bring it up on the screen to be quite honest. If I remember how to screenshot properly. Okay, let me screenshot this. I'll bring this into the show. I'll bring this into the show right now so we could all see it together. So this is what I'm looking at here. So this came from The Athletic yesterday. It came from Sir Jim's investment. and this upped our PSR 3-year loss. We are fourth. What? Fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're fifth. We have 141 million. We were sitting at 15 million. We have 141 million. We technically have more than Arsenal. So we're actually not in a bad place. Considering that part. Which is why these updates are kind of weird, because yesterday it was like, well, Sir Jim made this investment and it's saved Manchester United from PSR, and actually we have room to maneuver. But today it's like they're like, well, we still need to buy to sell, sell to buy. So I don't, what just happened? Oh, okay. Yeah, I lost my spot, so sorry about that. Let me get to the chat and then I'll jump back in. Nubis says, I 100% agree with you on selling Bruno first. Lions says, selling Mainoo while building for the future is insane. Selling him in 3 to 4 years makes more sense when he's doubled his asking price. I mean, yeah, I get that, but I would even go as far as to argue, well, it depends how far as a player he's developed in 3 to 4 years, line. Because if he's developed into, one of the top midfielders or whatever, ends or something, one of the top players, across all 5 leagues, maybe you wouldn't even necessarily want to sell him, even if he is worth double the price, So, Elias says Garnacho leaves before Mainoo. I would agree with that, because I think Garnacho definitely doesn't fit the system more than Mainoo. And also, I think Garnacho also has separate sort of issues in terms of he has a little bit of a problem with his attitude. I don't know if Ruben necessarily likes that. I don't think Kobbie necessarily has. I haven't seen anything to kind of think that Kobbie has a bad attitude in that regards. But Lyle says, we are actually 5th best team in England regarding PSR. We are miles away from breaching it. Yes. Nubis says, all right, if that's the case, what holding up Gyokeres deal? They should have bid on him now instead of trying to sell players. Well, it's a good point. I don't know. It's a good point, but maybe we can only work on one deal at a time. Maybe they're trying to wrap up this Mbeumo deal, and then they're kind of just gonna pivot and go to Gyokeres. I think they are slightly working on Gyokeres. I think there's been some sort of like contacts being made and stuff, but I don't know if maybe they don't have the capacity to do two deals at once. I'm not 100% sure, or maybe they're waiting after this initial window period and then going back in when the window reopens. Steph is here, says big up Eric and Legends. Big up yourself, Steph. How you doing on this Friday? Hope you're doing well. Lion says I don't want to bloody sell it. Neither do I. The Disco Mirror told us that Manchester United are set to offer £55 million plus £5 million in add-ons to Brentford for Bryan Mbeumo, but this is likely to be United's final offer. The expectation is that a deal will soon be agreed upon all parties. And we also got from the Disco Mirror, Bryan Mbeumo has already indicated his desire to join United with personal terms of around $200,000 a week, said to have already been agreed over a 5-year contract with an option for an extra year. Again, I don't know if I necessarily buy that though. Senyat Sema says Viktor Gyokeres. Here we go. I mean, no. Hopefully soon, but I don't know if you were trying to troll, but hopefully soon, yes. I agree. Hopefully soon, yes. Steph says Kobbie won't thrive as long as Bruno is top dog in our midfield. He definitely needs to get fitter and better next season. I think, but I agree but to a certain extent, Steph, but I think he can. I think the whole point is that he's a 19-year-old that kind of bursted onto the scene and, had the season he had, 2 seasons ago. Last season was one that was sort of average, and, we as a football club didn't do particularly well, across the board. So it was a struggle, but he also had, injury. And I think he was quite overused the previous season. Maybe that was a bit of a hangover because he played a lot of games and a lot of minutes for United. And then he went to England and he went from literally like not starting to starting. So he played a lot. Would you consider swapping Mainoo for Baleba if Brighton are willing to entertain the offer? No, I'm biased. I'm biased, Nubis. Maybe that's foolish, but I really rate Kobbie Mainoo. I think he can become an absolute superstar, and I wouldn't be getting rid of him in any sort of way. I wouldn't be getting rid of him in any sort of way. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. The Pro Dog says, "Hi, I'm 9, and I'm wondering if I'm allowed a shout out." Well, sure, why not? The Pro Dog, shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. Of course you're allowed a shout out. Welcome. Are you a United fan? Do you have any comments, the Pro Dog, that you want to say out? I'll read them out for you. Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily buy this 200,000 a week thing from Bryan Mbeumo though. I don't. I think that's quite crazy of a pay increase. I seen that reported somewhere else before as well. I think it was like a day or two ago. I don't, if we're doing that, that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the deal, because it seems like we're paying an excessive sort of wage considering what he makes at Brentford. And it seems like too high of a jump, really. So it is coming from the Disco Mirror, so I feel like it won't be that high. Maybe 150,000, but I mean, there's some other stuff there. The Pro Dog says, thanks, no problem. Yeah, what Lion said. The Pro Dog says, I support United. I went to every cup game last season. Did you really? Except the away ones. Oh, man. You're better than me. You're better than me. Unfortunately, it wasn't the greatest season. So hopefully, if you go to the matches going forward, hopefully we do better for you, so you can enjoy him a lot more. It was a tough season. So, but yeah, I got to make my way down there a couple times to Old Trafford, watch a couple games. No, not really. Yeah, I know. But hopefully we could fix this sort of stuff and we'll have a better season. Everybody can enjoy it a lot more, So we'll see. Laurie Whitwell gave us an update and said Manchester United's third quarter fiscal results. Total revenue 160.5 million pounds, up from 136.7 million in the same period, 2024. That's match day. Commercial broadcast streams all rising. Wages 71.2 million pounds, reduction of 20 million on year prior due to no Champions League January sales and redundancies. So, I mean, listen, you don't have to like Sajim and you don't have to like what they're necessarily doing, but we try to be fair, and they said that they want to kind of straighten out the money and the budget. The revenue is up slightly. I mean, it's not like insane amount, but it's still up. It's still in the green. It's still positive, which is a good indication. That's what you want when you're running a business. And people will say this is a football club, but listen, it's both. And the wages, are down 20 million on the year. Now, one of them obviously is because of the Champions League, no Champions League, which obviously, keeps the wages down because they would have all gotten a pay increase. So maybe it would have been about, I don't know how much. It would have been maybe 10 million or something like that. But, we did have the January sales. And then, of course, there was all the redundancies. So, Steph says obsession with players' wages is not helping us. Yeah, to a certain degree. I agree. I don't really like it. Again, I try to be the most fair I can. I don't like this sort of stuff, but I do understand it to a certain point, because the way we were going, it literally just was like untenable. Like we couldn't keep going the same way without trying to do something about it. So we had the trajectory for United and the finances has to be changed, because again, when Sir Jim said like we would have been bust by Christmas, one, I think he was indicating, the PSR, but I think he was just looking, business people, they look at the future projections sort of stuff. And I don't know if I necessarily buy would have been broke by Christmas, but definitely for sure, the way it was heading, at some point, we would have been in big, big trouble. Like big, big trouble. Financially, we probably would have got hit with some type of a PSR, sort of fine. Maybe a points deduction or something like that. I mean, it's just something that, isn't great. Nubis says, did you watch France versus Spain yesterday? Turkey changed the game. City are getting a bargain. Yeah, I watched the match yesterday. I'm well aware of, how good Turkey is. I said that, this was probably weeks ago, but I was making the case that, United, in my opinion, Turkey, if he's going for 25 million, because that was the reported price at the time. I don't know what City are getting him for. But I was like, if you could get that guy for 25 million, I think that's a steal. I was like, you might as well just get him in there and add him into the squad. This was before we lost the, Europa League and stuff like that. But I mean, you could tell, you just watch him, his ability. If you can get him for 25 million, it's a bargain. I think it's a low risk. And City, they're getting good player. They're getting 3 good players actually. And they're going fairly young. I mean, City are on their rebuild as well, and unfortunately, it's on display. I mean, you can see a team. Both teams are from Manchester. One's blue, one's red. Obviously, we know that. But what I'm saying is, like, one's owned by super rich people that all they want to do is win and be the most competitive. And the other one is us, who's owned by money leechers who have destroyed the football club and let it rot. And we're technically both trying to rebuild, but we're struggling because we're in a bad position. And they're not. They're not. And it's going to be interesting to see how well they put the team together, because Pep has never actually necessarily rebuilt one of his own teams. He's come into a team and made his changes, especially at City. He kind of built it into his image. It wasn't really a rebuild because they did already win the Prem by the time he came. But, he came in and transformed it into his own image. But he's never been at a club long enough to rebuild his own team. So it's going to be quite interesting, because I mean, it's not that I don't know if he can do it. I mean, he hasn't done it, so we don't know how it would go necessarily. But, yeah, City got Turkey at Nori for the same price as Mbeumo. Yeah, I mean, but we could have done that as well. But, clearly there was probably some word out there that City were in there. And we probably had some sort of indication. I think that's why everybody kind of stayed away from Turkey. Because it just seems like, City entered the frame, nobody else even tried. So City are starting to look scary again. Well, it depends how they look on the pitch as well. It could look good on paper, but it has to click on the pitch as well. So, Simon Stone came with this update saying Manchester United, saying privately there is scope for disciplined investment in first team due to reduction in the wage bill and other savings. So, kind of a mixed bag here. Like, some sources and some news coming out saying that we do have money to spend and we can do it. Disciplined investment, but we can spend money. And other sources and other people are saying, well, we still have to sell to buy. So this has been going on actually for a while, and we still don't have the utmost clarity. I feel like it's on purpose. I feel like Sir Jim's kind of been playing a blinder a little bit. for a while, coming out and basically making a statement that like United were about to go bust, which gives the image that United have no money, when in reality, actually, we always did have at least some money, and that we were able to do 2 deals like this right off the bat without any player sales. I think it's quite interesting. We don't actually know how deep the pockets are, because we're getting this news sort of like, and you know, Noob is bringing it up. Why aren't we going for Gyokeres? But maybe we will once we do this Mbeumo deal. Maybe we'll just go straight to Gyokeres, and maybe we'll do that, and we don't even need to sell. Then maybe after Gyokeres, then maybe we have to sell 1 or 2 players to just straighten out the books a little bit, maybe to get a midfielder or something like that, and a goalkeeper, because they do want the goalkeeper. So Fabrizio 7 hours ago saying United again in direct club-to-club contact with Brentford for Bryan Mbeumo. Second proposal is ready. Manchester United are ready to get closer to Cunha valuation. Mbeumo has been clear he only wants a Manchester United. So yeah. Yeah, so for me, the Mbeumo deal is one that, I mean, it's going to be done sooner or later, probably in the next few days. Tio is here. Tio, how you doing, buddy? Says, could be a bluff, saying there's no money. That's how I kind of feel, to a certain degree. I mean, again, I don't think it means like, you know, if he bluffed it, I don't think it necessarily means like, you know, we have 350 million war chest to spend. But I always kind of said that. I didn't actually believe that we were like broke. Because the way the Cunha thing was going, I was like, we for sure have money. I don't know how much money exactly we have, but for sure we had money, because there's just no way that we were broke. I didn't believe it. I don't think we have like 350 million to spend, but we have something to be able to do Cunha and Mbeumo and maybe one other. And then maybe we might have to sell like 2 players or so. And one will probably be Garnacho. The Garnacho sale will open up the bank again, because he's considered pure profit. And then I guess we could go from there, really. Nubis says, how much do we have left after buying Cunha and Mbeumo and Gyokeres? We still need to buy centre mid, left centre back, goalkeeper, right wing back, and possibly DM. Seems like Amorim doesn't fully trust Ugarte. I mean, we might need to buy all those positions, Nubis. You know, I'm not like disagreeing with you on that, but from what the club puts out after the striker, which is hopefully Gyokeres, it seems like, from what I've seen, that they said that he's looking for a centre mid. There's been mention of the goalkeeper. And there's been 1 or 2 small, but not a lot, kind of a wingback mention. So I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily are gonna go for a left center back. I think, or a DM. In that regard. But I'll try and get a hold of the finances in a little bit. You gotta give me a little bit of time, because I gotta just catch up and, you know, figure it out. Temeskin says United want Gyokeres and Mbeumo, Simmons, Emi Martinez, Ederson to United is better for next season, please. I think Ederson's going to Saudi Arabia. I think they're trying to tap him up. So, that didn't sound right. But, yeah, you know what I mean. I think I heard that Saudi was going for Ederson. So, yeah, we'll see about that. Ben Jacobs just put out an update saying key hours ahead in the Victor Osimhen saga. Al Hilal still pushing. So yeah, I think Osimhen definitely is off the table for United for sure. One of the things that we got was 6 hours ago came from Correro dello Sport and Sport Witness, saying Jonathan David has Manchester United, Barcelona, PSG as his priorities. His preference is to make a switch to the Premier League, indicating Ruben Amorim's side are ahead of Barca and PSG in his thinking. Unfortunately, for the Canada international, Manchester United haven't made any advances to sign him, even though he's available in a free transfer. again, he's one that I'm not really too interested in. I'm not really too interested in. Listen, if we get him on a free and he is a backup of some sort, sure. But if you're telling me our striker is going to be Jonathan David and we're getting him on a free, I'm going to be highly disappointed. I'm going to be highly disappointed. You know, it's you're talking about Gyokeres and then you're talking about Jonathan David on a free. You know, it's like driving a Lambo or driving, a Mitsubishi. I don't even know if you guys have Mitsubishi where you are. We don't have anyone at left center back except for Heaven, left-footed. Licha is starting to be like Luke Shaw 2.0. Well, he might be. He might be. But I think the fact that Licha is there and Licha's going to be here, I think obviously the plan is to go forward with Licha. I think you kind of gotta go with Licha and see what happens. And if he's able to stay fit, then I think we'll be okay. If he suffers another sort of injury that he suffered, this previous season and the season before, then, it's time to go. We can no longer rely on him. But I think it's a bit unfortunate because the one injury, the first one, was bad, but we screwed up in that we allowed his surgery to get botched. So that was messed up on our part. And then the second one was just, it was a really bad tackle. Not like in terms of like a red card, but it was just like one of those tackles that like it happens. I think it was really unfortunate for him. It wasn't because it wasn't the same leg and it wasn't the same injury. So, I think you gotta try and you gotta try and see, because we're not going to be able to listen with the money we have, whatever. We're not going to be able to get every single area. That's quite clear. That's been quite clear. We have to try and strengthen as much as possible, but we're not going to be able to hit every single aspect that we need. We need to do enough where we could have a good enough season, and Ruben stays so that he can get another window after. And then we could go for the other targets, in the next window to continue building for the ones that we, haven't been able to do. So, what happened to Angel Gomez? I thought we were interested in him. Nah, that's just, those are just stories because he used to be at United and he was available. We were never really interested in him. That was just, a lot of fluff, to be quite honest. Can try hijack that Ryan Cherky deal off Man City. Yeah, we could, Rajat, but it would literally be a waste of time. I don't know how interested they're in because, we already have the 210s. Technically, it's Cunha, and they've obviously chosen Mbeumo over Cherky. So, I don't think that they're going to go and get, because he would have to play. He would have to play 10. I don't think they're gonna go for a third, because it's always been 2 10s and a striker, a midfielder, and either a goalkeeper or right wing back. That's what's always kind of been listed generally for quite some time right now. So, also, where's Radek Vitek? He was so good in preseason last year. Are we selling him? I don't think we're selling him. We just loaned him out, and I don't know what they plan to do. They probably, to be quite honest, they'll probably loan him out again, because Heaton is staying, as far as I know, so he'll be third, and we're obviously going to make some moves in the goalkeeping department. So they're probably going to loan him out again, really. I guess it depends how the goalkeeping situation goes. As well, because if Onana stays and we get rid of Binder and we have to get like a second goalkeeper that can take his place, then maybe this season wouldn't be the best to kind of, throw him in there. You would just loan him out again for a season, let him get more experience, and then maybe the following season you have your new number one, who would be the second goalkeeper that we would sign this year. We'd sell rid of Onana and maybe push for Tech to second and get him some experience with United in the first team in some cup matches or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people rate Vitek highly. A lot of people ask for Vitek all the time, but we don't get any indication or any news or any from the club that they're looking or thinking that he's good enough to put him in a certain position to start or whatever. So I kind of just assumed that they're probably just going to loan him out again. I don't really know. I don't really know. One of the things came from Sky Sports. One of the updates said Manchester United will be in the market for a striker after Cunha and Mbeumo. This is what I've been saying this for weeks. And Sky Sports, coming up with this. Amorim is a big admirer of Gyokeres. He is one of number of forwards Manchester United are looking at. That's great, Sky Sports. Who are the other ones? If you know that much, you couldn't have put that in the update and listed it for us. Just one of the many other ones. Yeah. I would hope that we have more than one target, because if Gyokeres declines or we can't come to some sort of an agreement and we didn't have a number of other forwards, we would be totally screwed. So, yeah, sometimes I could write these updates with my eyes closed. Ben Jacobs, United's second bid has now been placed for Mbeumo and is over £60 million. We're going to get to that because it's more clear. One thing that has become very clear in discussions about Mbeumo is that United does not want to get stuck in a cycle of continuous bidding. The club is determined not to be taken advantage of by players under the new regime. Well, that's good. To a certain degree. It sounds nice because that's what we've been asking for about, I don't know how many years now. The proof will be in the pudding when we see it. Some people will argue that, we're being taken advantage of, not necessarily by the player, but by other clubs, because some people don't really like paying the £60 million for Mbeumo. They think it's overpriced. So, 2 hours ago, John Crossmirror gave us an update about Gyokeres, saying Gyokeres fancies a move to Arsenal if he gets the pick of his clubs this summer. Arsenal are one of a number of top clubs targeting the forward, with Manchester United among others looking at the 27-year-old. Sporting believe that Gyokeres prefers Arsenal and the Premier League over interest from Spain and Italy. Arsenal can also offer Champions League football, which is something that United cannot boast for any potential transfer target this summer. Again, really, that update is nothing. That update is literally recycled from like 2-3 weeks ago or longer. That's literally, there isn't one piece of new information in there. And actually, I don't even know if that is accurate, considering that Arsenal are trying to go for Sesko, and they shifted their focus more primarily to Sesko over Gyokeres. So I don't even feel like that necessarily fits. Like Nubis said, I thought Arsenal are interested in Sesko. Yeah, again, this come from John Cross in the Mirror, so you got to take it with it's not Fabrizio, it's not Laurie Whitwell. It's something being reported, but that just sounds like they haven't gotten an update in about a couple weeks and they needed to put something out. Because that's literally everything I just read is basically old news. Like that was already reported and discussed like weeks ago. Weeks and weeks ago. Fabrizio an hour ago. Now we're getting close to the most up-to-date part. Fabrizio on Bryan Mbeumo an hour ago says Bryan Mbeumo has an agreement with Manchester United and now working to get the deal done. He also spoke on Rasmus Højlund, saying Inter are definitely interested in Rasmus Højlund. Let's see now if clubs can find an agreement, but it's up to Inter. So, listen, if we could sell Rasmus, we get some money. I did hear at one point that apparently we need to sell Rasmus for about £38.5 million for us to not lose money in a like a PSR type of thing. Now I don't know if that necessarily means anything, considering that we've been told that the PSR in the 3-year period is up to 142 million, whereas at one point it was at 15 million. So I don't know if that matters too much anymore. Obviously they won't be looking, they won't want to take a loss, but maybe if you take a slight small loss, 5-10 million, maybe they'll be okay with it. It's interesting. 44 minutes ago, the Muppeteers reported that Brentford want the Cunha money, and both clubs are working towards an agreement. And Mbeumo wants United and Brentford know that all parties involved want this deal to happen. I mean, I don't really agree with that either. Like, to a certain extent, like they want Cunha money, but like we can use like 3 or 4 or 5 other deals from the Premier League itself to other Premier League clubs, where we could be like, well, you want the Cunha money, but what about that player going to that club? You know, if you want closer to 60 million, but what about that player? You know, why wouldn't we pay 40 million for him? I don't really like that sort of update. I hope they don't cave. I hope they don't cave in that aspect. Kovar was sold. Ellie Harrison is good too, but he's a bit short. Oh, maybe, but I mean, if you're good, you're good. I guess, Nubis, right? I mean, if you're good enough, I guess it doesn't matter if you're short. So I don't know. I don't know too much about him, but I mean, kind of my whole thing is, I mean, eventually, if you're good enough, you'll be able to get somewhere with it. So, Theo says, I missed the start of the show. What is the situation with Mainoo? Well, just, you know, one of the things is that, like, it's reported that apparently Onana, Mainoo, Garnacho, and Antony are all going to be sold this summer. And one of the updates was that Ruben wants a midfielder. And apparently United they have to sell either Casemiro or Mainoo to get funds and then also make space for the new midfielder. And I said, if that's the case, then that just means that we're selling Mainoo, because we're not going to be able to sell Casemiro, because as we see, the Saudi clubs are in full swing right now and they're not making offers for Casemiro. So if a Saudi club doesn't come and try and buy Casemiro, then we're not selling Casemiro. And if we're not selling Casemiro, and it's actually factually true that we have to sell one of Cas or Mainoo, well, then that just means that we're selling Mainoo, because it's the easiest deal. There's going to be more people interested. We'll be able to actually get it done. And for the club standpoint, is pure profit. So if you sell him for 50 to 60, it's double. At the same time, I do know that the club, for sure, definitely would rather get rid of Casemiro than Mainoo. One, because Cas is getting older, and two, because Cas is on the highest wages, and they want to remove these players that are on these super, super high wages, like they're doing with Rashford, and stuff like that, especially if they're not performing. But they definitely want to get rid of Casemiro's wages off the books. Sir Jim is absolutely foaming out of the mouth, dreaming about removing that 300,000 to 350,000 weekly wage off of the books. I mean, if he could, he would literally pick up Casemiro, charter a private plane for him, and fly him to whatever place in the world would be willing to take him away. The problem is that deal just doesn't look like anything's really going to materialize. Maybe something pops up at some point, but it's not great. Numba says, if Gyokeres, Sesko, Osimhen are off the table, who do you think United should sign for striker? It's a good question, Nubis. I can't answer it because I don't know. You know, if Gyokeres, Sesko, and Osimhen are gone, I don't know who we get anymore. Sure, there's targets out there and you can list them. But for me, I feel like once you go from sort of that 3, it's not the same level. It doesn't have the same impact. It doesn't have the same feeling. And I just feel, I don't know. I just feel like I almost feel like, well, what's the point then? Obviously, I know there's a point, but it feels that way. It feels that way because I'll be looking at the other players and I'm like, just get one of them at this point. If we can't get Gyokeres or Osimhen or Sesko and they're gone, and I think those are the 3 best options probably, then it's just like, close your eyes and, throw a dart on the board and just whichever one it lands on, just get them because they're almost all kind of the same anyway. I mean, they're all below the levels of the other 3, and they're all about around the same levels between each other. So it's like, I don't know, just go get one, I guess. I won't be happy. I'll be disappointed. So, Line says if Rasmus goes, it will be a loan first. You think so? It might be, but maybe Inter just pay the money. Calvert-Lewin knew this. No. Rajat says, will you take 10 million if Altay can go? Yeah, why not? Why not? I would, I mean, to be honest, I would sell both goalkeepers. Really, if I had it my way, what I would do is I would sell both goalkeepers. I would get a new number 1, and I'd probably get based off of what everybody says, I would look at Vitek and I'd be like, all right, if he's actually that good, I just throw him in at number 2 and start giving him cup matches and experience, and then we'll see who's who. If the new number 1 does well, then we're all right. If he doesn't, maybe Vitek is actually better, and then Vitek could take number 1. Get Chris Wood. What are we, Burnley? Are we playing dice ball, Rajat? Do not get Chris Wood. I'll cry. Every day, I'll cry myself to sleep if we get Chris Wood or Calvert-Lewin. Rajat says, need to have experience too, and Ugarte can learn off him. Chris Wood would struggle to make it to Carrington line, let alone Omrim system. Rajat says Viktor Osimhen overrated AF and diva like Kim K. Nah, I don't think he's overrated. I don't think so. I don't think he is. He might be a bit of a diva, but I don't think he's overrated. I don't think so. I think he has striker abilities. His problem is the diva part. I'm not dissing Wood at all. I'm dissing Wood for sure. Yeah, no, I am definitely 170,000% dissing Chris Wood. Chris Wood belongs wherever Gareth Southgate is. That's where Chris Wood belongs. And Calvert-Lewin and Chris Wood can go to Gareth Southgate's house and they could all have a party. Who's your number one target if Onana gets sold? Well, I don't really know, because I don't know what we can spend. I don't know what we can spend on a goalkeeper. All I would say to that is, I just have a general idea. Just get a goalkeeper that. My whole thing about the goalkeeper has always been, if we can sell Onana, go get the guy that we need, which is a goalkeeper that can stop shots and also sweep and play out of the back and can actually do the job, because both the goalkeepers we have, they literally can't do it. I think Bayinda's better at shot stopping than Onana, which isn't saying much because I don't think Onana's good at shot stopping, but Bayinda can't play with his feet. He can't. is distribution kicking wise is horrendous, and Onana is good with his feet, but he can't stop shots. So it's like we have two goalkeepers that they can't do the full job. And I've always said, if you get rid of Onana, then obviously do that. If we can't, or there isn't a suitable offer, then what we really have to do is we got to get rid of Biender. We got to go get a goalkeeper, a second goalkeeper. And I would argue to recreate the same situation that Arteta did at Arsenal with Ramsdale and Raya. And you got to get somebody at a level like Raya, where they can actually play the position and they're actually good enough that if you decide to make them the number one goalkeeper, they can actually be the number one goalkeeper. And then maybe you give Onana, the start for the season. If he has some calamitous performances, anything similar to like how he's done in the past 2 seasons, which he probably will, then you yank him, you drop him, and you put in the new guy, and hopefully that guy does well, and you go from there. And then you look to get rid of Onana whenever you can, whether that be January or the following summer. But I don't know. Who we would get, because I don't know how much money we can necessarily spend. And I think if you're asking for somebody like Diogo Costa, for example, I mean, he's going to cost you 60 to 80 million or something like that. So I don't think we can do that deal. But I'm not a director of football, and I'm not a technical director, and I'm not a scout. So my whole thing is, I actually don't even really care too much who it is, as long as they have the qualities and the characteristics that we clearly need for the goalkeeping position. So, Line says, to be fair, Wood, the guy had an amazing season for Forest. I mean, he did, but I don't like him, and I don't want him anywhere near our club. So, as far as I care, him, Calvert-Lewin, and Gareth Southgate could all go have a tea party somewhere. Stay at Forest, stay far away from Manchester United, please. Just no. Rajat says, can't get Gyokeres, then I would definitely take Gonzalo Ramos off from PSG, potentially on getting 1-year loan with an option/obligation to buy. I don't know if I don't feel super sold on Ramos. His record isn't that bad, because I thought it was much worse, but I guess it depends the price. But I'm not that sold on him. Maybe like you're saying, Rajat, maybe if it was like for a 1-year loan, we test him out. I'd rather be okay with that, because I have concerns about him for sure. And if we were to buy him outright, I would feel not so confident that that's going to work out well. And I don't want to necessarily spend money on another striker that it's not going to work out. I think with Gyokeres, there's a strong chance that it works out. But with him, I don't really feel he's not giving the vibes. He ain't giving the vibes. I thought Diogo Costa already agreed to join City a few months ago. I don't think so, unless I missed that, but I don't believe so. What's up, Box? Shut up, Box. Says, yo, Eric, yo, lads, yo, Box. What's up? Box says, I want Chevalier Ignacio Ederson by one day. What are you, Temesgen? Southgate will be Spurs manager. Oh, dude, that would be the greatest thing ever. I would love nothing more. But apparently, Lions, actually, they're going for your guy. They're going, like Box said, I think they're going for Thomas Frank is on the list there, and somebody else. Nubis says, I think we are forgetting about Ekitike as a striker option, better than Ramos. Yeah, I would probably lean that way too, Nubis. I would probably rather take a shot and a chance on Ekitike than Ramos, because Ramos doesn't necessarily do it for me. But then again, it still flies in the face of what I always originally wanted, was a ready-made, um, a ready-made, like, sort of top striker. I mean, Ekitike is young and he's got good potential and already some, good ability, but it's not the same as like Osimhen or Gyokeres. I think we need to do whatever we can to get Gyokeres. I think the feeling, the aspect, I mean, it's going to be totally like, if you get Gyokeres, the feeling, the look of the front three is just, it's like two different things. Like if you put somebody else in there and it's not Gyokeres, it's not Osimhen, and it's not Sesko. You put somebody else in there, it doesn't hit the same. It's not hitting the same. Hopefully it performs well if that does happen, but Mine says, "What, my Frank Wiener?" Yeah, you're Frank Wiener. Yeah, he's he's being touted to go to Spurs. Um, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like Ange wins Tottenham their first trophy in I don't know how long. What is it, 27 years or whatever it was? Still gets sacked. And yeah, it just sort of just feels Spursy. I was like, yeah, I know he had a shit season in the Prem, and maybe it just wasn't gonna work out. But I was like, he still won you the cup, though. At least they were smart enough to do that this time, because when they had Mourinho, right, they made it to a cup final, and they sacked Mourinho before the cup final, and then they lost the cup final, and it was like, you guys are morons, because Mourinho is literally known for winning the cups, and you could have literally just kept Mourinho there and let him win the cup. But I think probably Levy or whoever, they were like, we don't even want Mourinho to be the guy to win the cup, because he'll say it, you know what I mean? So if Man United was Liverpool and Man City level, I want words from Pong and Julian Alvarez. I mean, I would take all of those people too, but we're not, we're not, so we can't, unfortunately. Yes, I also agree, Box. I also want Messi, Ronaldo, and Kaká. Absolutely. Throw in Ronaldinho. And yeah, throw in Ronaldinho in there for sure as well. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, well, at least Ange has more time to eat more donuts now. So that's the one positive. He has more time for more donuts now. So good for him. Good for him. Yeah, I'm jealous. I wish I had more time for donuts. I don't have enough time for donuts. It's an unfortunate thing. It's Freaky Friday. What the hell? Freaky Friday. You're in the wrong channel, buddy. I don't know what you got open on your internet browser, but it ain't Freaky Friday in here. That's for sure. Osimhen like to travel has been Nigeria, Germany, Belgium, France, Italy, Turkey, and now Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And just going to Adelaide football back to Australia, mate. Have fun, bro. He's gonna stop at the donut shop before she gets there. Conor McGregor has put up a picture with his son in the United kit. I just saw that on my timeline. That's not news. Why does he look like Officer Wiggum have nice grilled meats Australian barbecue? They rate Hayden Hackney to play CM. Yeah, he's good. He's good. He's young talent. Probably one that we should be looking to kind of sign, to be quite honest. He looks good. I don't know what his price is or what he's going for. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like somebody like Hackney, those are players that we look to sign and we want to sign and we should sign. And that's why I make my argument against Mainoo. Because again, like if Mainoo was where Hackney is, we'd be like, we need to sign Mainoo. We should sign Mainoo. Mainoo looks good. But we have him. So like, to me it's just like, why, you know, We might need money, but again, there's other players there. We shouldn't. Sometimes you have to make decisions for money, but sometimes you have to make football decisions, and I feel like Kobbie is one where the football decision overcomes the money decision. You know, last week I was saying we should sell Bruno, and it's not because I hate Bruno or dislike Bruno. I think Bruno is a bad player, but I think because it was a little bit of, my opinion, what could be considered a certain type of football decision, but also because of a financial decision, because of the money. But from a football perspective, again, if you have a player that's 31 and you're getting 100 million for him, it's different than essentially Kobbie, which is about the same because of, you know, the academy thing, where if you sell him for 50, 60, it's basically double. So it's basically like you're getting 100 to 120 million. But one's 19 and one's 31. So yeah, I don't really like it. Job Bellingham is going to BVB like Jude. Yeah, I mean, he's trying to replicate that, isn't he? But I don't think it's really going to work. I think too many of the good genes went to Jude and not enough went to Job. So Fox says sell Casemiro, bring in centre mid, Edison, Jashari, Hackney, Stiller, Statch, Kamara. I mean, yeah, that's what we want to do, Box. But we were talking about how that deal seems like it's quite difficult to do and it might not materialize. Again, I think if you ask most United fans, they would tell you, let's sell Casemiro. And everybody's like, great, we agree. Then you like go behind the scenes and you try to sell Casemiro, and then you see how actually fucked it is. And you're like, well, I guess that's not happening unless we get lucky. Or we might have to wait a while. Because Cass is a huge issue. I think if Cass was on, like, even if you dropped it by 100K, I think if Cass was on 200K, it would still be difficult. But maybe we would actually be able to do something. But I don't know. There hasn't been any really strong like, the things we keep getting out is that United would like to offload Casemiro. They would like to sell him. There hasn't been any stories that any clubs are actually looking to go in for Casemiro, make a bid for Casemiro, or willing to buy Casemiro. There hasn't been any of those reports. Anything that we've gotten about Casemiro is either him basically like not really wanting to leave. There was a story between like Ruben kind of like having like respect for him in the fact that, like, you know, he wasn't, it looked like he was maybe going to be pushed out the door at one point. He handled himself in a professional manner and ended up coming back into the team. So I think Ruben respects him for his attitude and the way he handles situations and stuff like that, and maybe his experience in that aspect. But that's really all we've gotten. We haven't gotten a single story yet that has said this club is looking or interested in Casemiro at all. So it's not looking great in that aspect at that moment in time. So yeah, Baleba, Stiller, and Wharton may start on United. I mean, I think there's a bunch of prospects you could probably point out and get. The biggest issue is how do you get rid of Cass when it doesn't seem like there's actually any interest for him? Because again, for me, right now, look at the situation. Look at the Saudi clubs. Look at what they're doing. I mean, one of them just offered 100 million for Bruno. Bruno turned it down. There's one that's going for Osimhen, and they're going for other players as well. They ain't looking at Casemiro. They're not even trying to get Casemiro. So I don't see how that necessarily changes, you know, a month from now. It can, and I hope it will. But it doesn't necessarily help the situation anyway, because if we need to sell Cass to get money to get one of the guys you guys mentioned, well, we're going to be waiting to get that guy. And hopefully we don't lose them. And hopefully we could actually attract them too by the time we get there. Oh my God. Do you know what I just realized? So I was making jokes about Ange, about donuts. Yeah? I had no clue, but I don't know if you guys have a PC, Windows and stuff like that. In the bottom bar where you have the little search bar. No, sometimes like Google will show you like it's like national or international, whatever. So I'm looking at the bottom here, and I see a little donut inside of the search bar, and I hovered over it, and it said it's National Donut Day. They've sacked Ange on National Donut Day. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. They've sacked him on National Donut Day. It's like it was meant to be. It was like it was meant to be. He's got sacked at Tottenham, and he's gonna fly over to America. He's gonna get some donuts, and then he's gonna keep going. I can't believe that's hilarious. I like Warren, but Palace will demand 100 million. Yeah, I think Warren. I mean, I like Warren. I think he's a good player. And if we could get him, I would definitely be all up for it. I just think, like Bach said, I think that deal for this season is quite impossible. I think one, they would probably demand a lot of money. Two, he's probably less interested considering that they're in Europe now and they're going to be playing in European competitions. I think a lot of their players, like Eze as well, that might have left this summer, they are probably all a little bit more reluctant to do so because they're in a European competition. So they're actually not necessarily in a bad place. And it's actually, to a certain extent, it's a bit exciting for them because, they're at a club that, I'm not too familiar with their history. Has Crystal Palace ever been in a European competition? If they haven't been in one for a really long time. So they have an opportunity to sort of make history at that club and participate in something that club hasn't either never done or hasn't done in a very long time. So, Newbie says Al Hilal are bidding on Ederson. Yes, they definitely not looking to buy Casa. Yeah, it's a big problem. I thought Saudi wanted Onana. Again, the thing with Onana, it just keeps it's sort of similar to Cass at the minute. From what I see, it's not really anybody. It's not really like they're being linked. It's not like Onana is being heavily linked with a particular club. They said Saudi Arabia, but like for example, the Antony story, he's being linked directly to Bayer Leverkusen. He's also still being linked with Real Betis. So it's specific like club being mentioned. Onana and Cass, Cass doesn't even have like a story in that like it's not even like Saudi Arabia, like some teams in Saudi, it's not even like a general statement where it's like there's a couple teams in Saudi Arabia that are looking to get Cass. With Onana, it was like there might be one or two teams in Saudi Arabia that might want to buy him. But no actual team has been named. So to me, it's too vague, it's too general, and it just seems like it's sort of at this moment it's just fluff. It's just fluff. Like it's just something to kind of report and then move on and kind of forget about until maybe like a week or two later, and then maybe bring it up with like a small update around it. Nubis says that's brutal. Not Edge gonna have a nightmare every donut day. Well, listen, but I think he's happy. He's been relieved of his duties. He has all the free time. He can literally get on a plane right now, fly to America, come here for National Donut Day, go to Dunkin' Donuts, also go to Krispy Kreme Donuts, get some donuts, hop back on the plane, and then, sky's the limit. He could fly wherever he wants. He could go back to Australia. He could go wherever he wants. He could stop off in Dubai or something. Take a nice stroll with his donuts through the desert, maybe on a camel, hanging out. Maybe goes to Italy, saves the donuts, gets some pasta first, has a nice Italian dinner, nice meal, and then finishes it off with some donuts, so Rajat says, now I believe he will see out his final year on his contract and he is probably going to leave. Yeah, but that's probably the most likely thing. I think even Jadon Sancho, the Pratt of all Pratts, I feel like that's probably going to happen with Sancho as well, considering the way things are going. I think Sancho will probably end up getting some sort of a loan because I don't know if there's necessarily any team that actually wants to buy him. And I think Sancho will probably end up getting loaned again. Hopefully, if that happens, we can make an obligation to buy instead of an option to buy. Make an obligation to buy. If we can't get an obligation to buy, I think Jadon is going to try and run down his contract as well. Because at this point, Jadon doesn't give two shits about United. In fact, actually, considering how he acts and who he's shown to be, obviously, because we don't know him personally, but publicly, he almost seems like a spiteful little, fuck. And he's probably like, you know what? He's like, I could just be a problem for them. They clearly don't want me. They clearly want to try and get some money from me. F them. Why don't I just like dick around? And he's like, I'll just take a loan. And he's like, I'll run my contract out. They'll end up getting no money from me. And then I'll be free at the end as well. And then he'll truly be free. And then he could really take a picture, put it on Instagram, and write freedom in all caps. So yeah. Onana was linked to Neom, a newly created Saudi team in the second division, just got promoted to top league. Was he really? I don't remember that story. Rajat says get strawberry pink frosted cream donut then, to be honest, bro. Hey, that sounds good, man. Don't tempt me with a good time. Don't tempt me with a good time. I've been on a diet. I haven't had anything that could possibly be bad for you. No soda, no sugar, cookies, no dessert, not even pasta, no bread, no pizza. Like literally nothing. Nothing at all. Today I was craving something. Like I was walking home from well, I left to work. I was in the city, New York City. And I left my job and I'm walking through the street because I was going to the train to get back home. And it was about like I passed like about like 6 or 7 ice cream trucks on the way there. And it, I can't tell you what it was in Celsius because I don't know the conversion, but it was about 86 degrees Fahrenheit here. So pretty hot, sunny. And I'm just like, man, an ice cream would hit the spot right now. But I'm like, I can't have it. And I was so upset. I was like, I felt like a little kid. I was like, I really want an ice cream, but I can't have it. Like, yeah, Nubis said, how about Sancho? Is he being linked with any club? If not mistaken, there's 1 year left on his contract. Imagine if he leaves for free. Well, I just said that without reading a comment. I was talking about that. I didn't even see what you said, Nubis, till now. So, yeah, again, I think Sancho, again, probably, it's gone from a position where it looked like we might actually be able to, get something decent out of it and move on to now it looks quite bleak. Because if he does have 1 year left on his contract, again, I think he's quite spiteful at United. I don't think he I don't think he has any sort of love for United in any aspect. Because if he did, he would be trying to come back, but clearly he doesn't want to. And also I think he knows that that door is shut anyway, but if you had love for something, sometimes even if the door's shut, you would still try. But not with the way he acts. And has acted. So I just think that Sancho's probably going to end up getting some type of a loan and will probably get nothing out of it. And he's just going to piss off somewhere for a year. And then, Mr. Freedom's going to come out with an Instagram post about how free he actually is now. I argue to the point that he's so free that he ended up clubless. I was going to say homeless, but homeless doesn't make sense because obviously he still has millions. But basically he's homeless in terms of, a home at a club because nobody really wants the guy. Nobody really wants the guy. Do they? I mean, Chelsea kind of wanted him, but not really. I mean, they spent like a day and a half negotiating and they were basically like, we would have taken you, but we don't really want you that much. So just like, you're asking for 200K a week, just go, stop wasting our time. And they were over with it. Fox says Sancho has been linked to Scunthorpe. 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 Thorpe. I don't know. I'll never know how to pronounce that fucking team's name. I'll never know. But I mean that's probably his level box. But even they probably don't want him, to be quite honest. Sancho and going is looking for a juicy signing on bonus. No. Imagine Sancho hanging around for another year, moaning into. Well, I don't think he'll be at the club in any way. I just think that he'll get loaned somewhere. I just think that there's probably no club because I don't know his situation. He has 1 year or 2 years left on his contract. If he has 1 year left on his contract, I don't think any team is really gonna be like, yeah, let's just buy him. I think probably at this moment in time, he's just gonna end up getting loaned somewhere because I don't think there's any possible chance, even if. Let's put it this way. Even if Sancho tries to stay, I think if I was to Jim, I'd be like, oh, you want to stay? I'm going to send you to that other team. What are they called? Lasagna or whatever? Lasagna? The one that he owns or whatever, that we have some sort of a partner. I would send him there. I'd be like, you want to stay? You want to fuck around? Go. We'll send you over there. Go play there. And actually, you're not even going to play there. You're going to be in the reserves there. Melbourne Victory seems like a good club for the freedom fighter. I think Sunday League is probably better for him. So, let me see, because there is something somewhere that we did not talk about and we need to talk about. So let me search. I don't know what I'm searching for, but let me search. Yeah, so Fabrizio said Mbeumo rejected Newcastle, Arsenal, and more clubs as he wants to wear the Manchester United shirt and play at Old Trafford. Both clubs are back in talks today, working to get a deal done. Mbeumo has an agreement with United. So that's where we stand with Mbeumo, which to me just means that, Mbeumo is probably going to get done within the next 5 days or something. I can't really see it being dragged out. Yes, thank you, Nubus. FC Lausanne Sport. Yeah, send him there. Send Sancho there. If he wants to stay and he wants to dick around, we'll send him there. He could go, he could go play his video games over there, hang out, just kind of rot in the reserves, lose another year off of his football career. Put up maybe some more, Instagram posts in his spare time. He'll have a lot of it, so maybe he could actually come up with a good one for once. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. By the way, because we didn't talk about this, we didn't go live for it, but so Jason Wilcox, obviously, I think many of you know, maybe some of you don't, but Jason Wilcox has been made the new director of football for Manchester United, so he's taken Dan Ashworth's position. I don't really know what that means for technical director, because somebody has to take Jason's job or spot. And Sir David Brailsford has taken a step back and is, phasing himself out of United, which, according to The Athletic, and I do remember reading this in the beginning, but that's why I knew when it happened. I was like, I think this was planned. I looked it up, and there was various reports at the time when Ineos first took over that they did say somewhere along the line that Sir David Brailsford would initially come in for kind of a settlement period amount of time to kind of just help, I guess, the transition and set things up. And then he would always take a step back and kind of push out. And I think that's where we're at now, because we have the people in place, sort of. I think obviously we still, I don't know, we've made Wilcox the director of football, which I'm not necessarily against. I'll give him, an opportunity to do the job, and let's see what he does. But if he's going to director of football, then we need a technical director. Unless we're promoting somebody else to technical director, which means that then we need, wherever we're taking that person, we need somebody to fill their shoes. So somewhere we still need one other person to be hired. Because what I don't want is Jason Wilcox being director of football and technical director. I don't want that at all. Nobody should be doing two people's jobs. No, not one person should not be doing two people's jobs. Like, that's not proper way to run the structure. So we need to get somebody somewhere in for sure. Barada, I see quotes from Barada. I didn't see these today. So Barada has spoken and said actually a good amount here. Barada said, "We were proud to reach the final of the UEL, but ultimately we were disappointed to finish as runner-up in Bilbao. No shit. We had a difficult season in the Premier League. No shit. Which we all know fell below our standards, and we have a clear expectation of improvement next season. No shit." He then also said, "We have been pleased with the performance of our women's team, with a third place league finish, enabling us to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. And once again, reaching the FA Cup final. We followed this by reaching the final of the inaugural World Sevens." He then also said, "We remain focused on infrastructure with the redevelopment of our Carrington training ground complex, continuing and on track, which will be the heart of our club, providing world-class facilities for all our teams and all our staff. We have also announced our aspiration to pursue an 100,000-seat stadium sitting at the heart of the regeneration of Old Trafford area, which would be a catalyst for growth and investment in our local community. We are continuing to work with all the relevant stakeholders, including central government, to support the vision and growth." Okay. I don't know why, I don't even know where he made this statement, but like, he literally didn't say anything new. Like, that was actually just kind of a waste of time. I thought we were getting something important there, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of actually surprised that we're not getting any other sort of news or updates at this moment in time. So I kind of figured we'd be getting some late news on a late Friday sort of night, but the last thing that we got was about an hour ago or so. So, I mean, I thought we'd be getting some more transfer news. I could jump back a little bit back. Oh, this goes for Nubis. Nubis, you said that we need a left center back, yeah? So yesterday, Sean Connolly 85 and the Muppeteers reported that the chances for Manchester United to sign a center back this summer is low. After Lisandro Martinez got injured, the club decided to pursue a center back in the summer, but the sudden form of Aiden Heaven has changed their plans. So, which I think is fair, because if we didn't have like Heaven in a position that Heaven's in, where we can actually trust him, rely on him, and use him, and Martinez, obviously is injured and he's not going to make it back until probably, somewhere around the beginning of September or mid-September, something like that. And Johnny Evans has left and Lindelof has left. I'm missing somebody else. No. Yeah, I think we would definitely 100% have to be getting probably a center back. I think we need one anyway at some point, but we definitely would have had to get one if we didn't have Heaven, because we would have been short for sure. But I think we can sort of manage now. So, Box says I'd offload Maguire for Inacio. I would too, but I don't. Again, it's one of those that I don't think Maguire is going to go anywhere. I don't think there's any interest from Maguire. I think even if we came out and we were like Maguire's for sale, I think I, I I don't think there might be one or two teams to be quite honest, but then also Maguire would just be like, but I don't want to leave, and then that's pretty much over. Grace says you lot are just greedy, be happy with Cunha. We're not greedy. We're not greedy. We'd be greedy if we were winning the Premier League and the Champions League and we were demanding to spend 700 million. But we can't just, unfortunately, I would love to be happy with just Cunha, because if we could be happy with just Cunha, Grace, it means that we're in a really good position and we don't have to really do anything. But unfortunately, it's not the story of our football club, man. We only have Heaven and Kokoni as left-footed center back. Do you think we should keep Kokoni or loan him out? Well, again, I'm counting Martinez in there because for now, because I expect Martinez to come back and I expect Martinez to be able to play and be available. I don't know how it's going to go in terms of, I don't think Martinez will be missing. Like, once Martinez comes back, I don't think Martinez is not, he's not injury prone like how Mount was being injury prone or how Shaw is injury prone, where it's like every 2 weeks he's picking up some sort of an injury that's keeping him out for 5 to 6 weeks. Martinez has suffered 2 really bad injuries in 2 seasons. I expect Martinez to be able to play and be available. The thing is, I hope, I don't know, but the concern obviously is hopefully he doesn't get another, because with Martinez it seems like it's like go big or go home. It's either this giant injury that's means season's over, or he's not really injured and he's available. So I'm planning and thinking Martinez is there. We're going to use Martinez. So I consider Martinez to be part of that as well. So we have Heaven and we have Martinez. And there is Kokonki. I don't think Kokonki is ready though. So I would considering that we're playing less games and we have to have a smaller club, I'd probably loan him out. If I did loan him out, I would definitely put into the loan clause that we can recall him for sure, just in case that Martinez does suffer a season-ending injury. Because then obviously we would have to use him. I don't know if he would be ready, but if you really want to go down the path of, you would have to make a decision. You either get the kid back because he's left-footed and you use him as a left center back, or you make the call that it's not ideal, but we're going to go with some experience and we're going to put a right-footed and left center back and we're just going to have to deal with it. So, Grace says, what are we saying? 4-2-2 next season? No, 3-4-2-1. 3-4-2-1. 3-4-2-1. I don't know why you're doing. Why you doing yourself like that, Grace? You know we're not getting a 4-2-2. 2. You know we're not getting a 4-2-3-1. You know we're not getting a 4-3-2-1. You know what we're getting. You know what's coming. You know what's coming. Euro will play left center. Yeah, I mean he could, but I mean Euro is right-footed, no? But again, I like Maz in right center back. So, like I just said, either you take a chance on the kid if you have to, because he's left-footed, and you put him in left center back, or you take somebody with more experience that's a right-footed and throw them in there and deal with it. It's not ideal, but either way, the situation ain't really ideal in that aspect. Grace says Kofal was like I'll step on you, you 4'6" dwarf. Hey, hey, when he comes back and he sticks the bottom of his cleat into Kufal's face, then we'll see. Then we'll see who's stepping on who. You're Delit and Nasio. Nasio too expensive. Does he really have a 35 million release clause box? There's no way. Well, Tio says we don't need an Nasio, but maybe not. I mean, maybe we could manage with it, but I would go as far as to be like, go grab an Nasio, because in a year's time, Maguire is going. So we're going to need somebody there. Unless Fredrickson comes up or, and takes the spot. But, like, you might as well, if you're going to have to get a center back eventually. I just don't think that we actually probably can afford it. Because I think that they obviously have said, they want the striker, 2 10s, a midfielder, a goalkeeper, and a wingback. And I think, the goalkeeper and the wingback, those two are already very iffy. I think the wingback is super flaky. Because I think in the plan, that the budget that they have, I think they're kind of aware, like, we can definitely get the striker, the 2 10s, the center mid, for sure. We don't know necessarily about the goalkeeper or maybe the wingback, depends what happens, but I don't think that they think that they can get both. I think they would have to then pick between goalkeeper and wingback. And I think that's all we can do. I think after that, we literally couldn't do any more. I don't think we could do any more. So, Kokonki, I'm gonna keep calling him Kokone. Kokonki only made the jump up to U21 like in December. I think I would definitely keep him there for a year and train with the first team. Yeah, he probably needs. Nasio is £60 million release clause, not 35. Well, that sounds more accurate, because I feel like if Nasio had 35 million release clause, he'd be gone already. So same as Leon, let them both cook in the under 21s. Yeah, I think that. Grace says sack Amari and bring back Ralph. We got shit wingers. Play 4-4-2 or 4-4-2 diamond. I mean, I would like Ralph back, but not as a manager. I would like Ralph back to build the team. I would take Ralph back right now. If I was in charge, I'd call up Ralph and be like, I would have probably just made him director of football, to be quite honest. Instead of Wilcox, because I think he could definitely build the team. But, we all know how that story ended. Do we really need any more signings? We just need a better manager. No, we definitely need more signings, regardless of the manager. The team isn't that good. The team is definitely not good. They already got one manager sacked. They could potentially get another manager sacked. They're definitely not. They're definitely not good. They're definitely not good. So, Theo says before Nasio, the goalkeeper, 100%. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, even from that update, they said, like, the left center back is really low, and that's because, again, I think we're trying to do as much as possible, but I think at some point you do hit a limit, and you're not able to do. We're not going to be able to hit all positions. So, I agree with them. I've been saying the whole time, and for me, it's just the way I am. I think the defense isn't necessarily that bad, and I think we can be okay with it. I think the goalkeeper, we should definitely change, for sure. If we can add a midfielder, that would be great. But my biggest thing always was the attack has to be fixed 1,000%. Because if we can't score goals, we're not going to win games. Like, even if we had an elite defense, if we're taking 18 shots and we have 1 on target, or we have 6 shots on target, but we still can't put the ball into the back of the net, we're not going to win that game. Because what's going to happen is we're going to play some team that's going to score some shitty ass, set piece from a corner or some shit, and we'll lose the match 1-0. Or we'll draw because we were only able to score 1 goal. So we get more goals, we should be getting more points. We should be getting more wins. For sure. And I think I'll take that for this upcoming season because I think it'll propel us into a better position. And if we finish in a better position and it means Ruben's staying, then we can just continue on building on what we were already doing, which means that, we'll go back into some other areas like the defense, and maybe the wing backs and stuff like that. So Nori would be great at left wing back. Move Dorgo to right wing back. Amorim loves a left-footed right wing back, just like Quenda at Sporting. Oh, it's interesting because I don't know. Although I don't really like Dorgo on the right, I like him better on the left. But also, he hasn't really done that since he's been here, has he? So I don't know if he really wants to do that. Grace says, I didn't need signings on my EAFC game just because I couldn't manage it. Delo was the captain. Of course he was. Theo says the attack for sure. Nubis says, I'm surprised Theo Hernandez is available for 35 million. Him at left wing. Is he really available for 35 million? There ain't no way. Well, here's this. I don't know. This might be for you stat people, if anybody's a stat person. I'm not really a stat person type of guy, More of an eye test kind of guy. Yeah, we dabble a little bit in the stats, GA is always good. It's a good indicator of impact, but really. And Mbeumo has 242 appearances. He's got 70 goals and 51 assists, which is a .74 GA per 90. And that's because one of our aggregators has just thrown that up. And 2 people have commented on that post so far. Somebody said, United fans are saying this is mid, and we should have got someone else. LOL. And the other person, another United fan, said outrageous numbers considering the team he plays for. So, I don't know, make of that what you will. I just seen him play, and I like him. I think he has physicality, speed. I think he has a good mix and understanding of when to shoot. He has a good shot, but when to shoot, when to pass. He also has good vision. And I think his build, in terms of he's a bit stocky, but still has some speed to him, I think just fits the Prem quite well. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 3 on the PS5. Can you even do that? How's that been going, Grace? Nubis says Milan already agreed with Al Halal. What the? Missed that. Missed that. Fenerbahce has sent an official bid to Leroy Sané to join them as a free. Wait, Leroy Sané is a free agent. Sané had proposals from Saudi clubs Galatasaray and New Deal offers still on the table from Bayern. Oh my god. I'm just reading Fabrizio updates because all right, so 7 hours ago, here we go. So because this actually ties back into United, so it's not about United, but because we were just reading the update that was talking about Arsenal and Gyokeres and United. Well, so Fabrizio 7 hours ago, just Fabrizio 7 hours ago wrote, "Understand Arsenal are now advancing in negotiations for Benjamin Sesko after initial concrete talks reported last week. Discussions underway and proceeding well between all parties involved, players and club. No agreement yet or expected this weekend, but advancing." So that's why I said, like, when I read that update, it wasn't really an update because everything they said was from like 3 weeks ago, and it was old news, and we already moved past that position. Like, Arsenal are clearly going for Sesko. They're clearly in like sort of deep negotiations with Sesko. Gyökeres could want Arsenal all he wants. That ship has sailed because they've chosen to go with Sesko. They're not gonna get Sesko and Gyökeres. It ain't gonna happen. So that update was shit. And who was that from? The Disco Mirror or something like that. I mean, that was, or whoever that guy was. I mean, that was trash. Trash. Like, they literally gave an update today with information from 3.5 weeks ago. So, Steph says 25 likes. Yes, 27 likes now. So thank you everybody that smashed the like button because it does help the channel. If you didn't, and you want to support us, smash that like button. We're also, by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, but we're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. We just got to 3,000, like last week. So we're on our road on the way there. Sky's the limit. So if you're not a subscriber and you enjoyed the content as well, and you want to join the family in the community, obviously you see all our community members in there chatting away. Then make sure you subscribe, but also make sure that you hit the notification bell icon if you do subscribe. And if you do want to as well, we do have a VIP section called the RDE VIP members, where you get a little badge next to your name. You also get access to the exclusive members only emojis created by our very own Elia Wilson. He did a fantastic job on that. And you also get some other, extra perks on top of that. So, yeah, if you're interested in that stuff, that's available as well. But I can't find this Theo thing. That's what I was looking for. I can't find the Theo thing. Oh, by the way, I mean, here's one that we didn't talk about. So Mestan Tawano, which obviously he was linked with us for a few weeks, but that story kind of has died. Yeah, he's going to Real Madrid, like we all kind of said. So, Fabrizio reported that like 14 hours ago. I think it was this morning. And he said, they're not paying the 45 million clause. It's going to be on a different structure, which is what I expect a competent football club to do. I mean, I always said, again, like, even Lion was saying, like, he is a talent, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I still have a problem paying 45 million in that aspect. So, because we probably would have just paid the 45 million clause, or paid 45 million, some way. But Madrid are going to do Madrid things. I mean, they signed Mbappe for free and a couple other players, so they'll get it. They'll get it in a way where it'll work for them. It'll work for them. I'm really surprised that it's this quiet on a Friday. Because usually we get some updates around this time, some late ones lingering on a Friday. So crazy. 28 likes on. Thank you to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you very much. Grace says, I bought the GTA trilogy consisting of GTA 3, Vice City, and SA. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I wish I don't have time for that right now. And also I'm gonna be leaving soon, so It's not really a point, really. Maybe when I get back, you know. Nubis says 3 days ago, Al Hilal agreed terms with AC Milan for Theo Hernandez on 30 million euro initial fee, 35 million add-ons, but there's still no agreement on personal terms with Theo so far. That's insane. That's insane. How old is he? He's 27 years old. And he's going for 35 million. Well, that's fucking. Well, that's shit. I would definitely go. That's one of those deals that you see on like Football Manager, and you go, oh, absolutely, I'm doing that. I'd go do that right now. We don't. I mean, we don't technically need it, but like, we technically, obviously, would take it for sure. Calvert-Lewin free agent. Oh boy. He's gonna go play on Gareth Southgate's Sunday League team. Oh no, Calvert-Lewin! Stop it! Stop it! Axe, tell them. Axe, tell them. Tell them to stop. Tell them to stop talking about Calvert-Lewin. Axe. It's not happening. It's not happening. Dude, if it happens, I don't know. I'll quit. I swear, I'll quit. I'll quit. I'm not watching a season with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I am not watching a season with Dominic Calvert-Lewin at striker, dude. No, no, no. We were supposed to get Viktor Gyokeres. We're gonna end up with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It's like you were supposed to get a birthday cake, and they come out with a bloody salad. It's just shit. There's no other way to describe it. Like, you were supposed to get like a nice, big birthday cake, and they come out with a salad with a couple candles in it, and you're like, what is this? I don't want this. I'm not eating this. This is shit. Take this away from me. Take this away from me. I want no salad. I want a cake. I want a cake. What are we? I mean, I just hold on. Let me go back. I gotta go all the way back. Nope, I'm on the wrong account. Wrong account. Wait, was that new? What was the last time we were live? What's today's date? I don't even know what day it is. Friday. We were live on Wednesday. No. We were live on Tuesday. We were live on Tuesday. That was the 3rd. So anything that was the 3rd. Anything that was the 3rd, we definitely don't have to go over because we did that. Let's go to the 4th. Let me see if I pick out some things. This isn't Mbeumo. We don't have to do that. Yeah. So obviously we spoke about Martinez a little bit, a couple times throughout the show. So apparently Napoli was looking to buy Lisandro, but we've got an update that says Lisandro Martinez has no desire to join Napoli despite links. Martinez is recovering from a cruciate ligament injury and is on course to return from preseason training with the hope of making the first team comeback in September. Well, that's good, at the very least. Yeah, this one was, again, See, this was from the other day. See, when I look at this, right? So this was from the 4th of June, where it says Cunha is joined from Wolves and Mbeumo is on his way. And then it says United also want to add a striker and are assessing a number of targets, which is fine. But then they say like Rashford, Sancho, and Antony are all looking to leave and could be followed up by Garnacho, Mainoo, Højlund, and Onana to help generate funds. Now, all I have to say is, why do we have to sell Mainoo if we sell Rashford, Sancho, Antony, Garnacho, Rasmus, and Onana? Because if we literally sell Rashford, Sancho, Antony, Garnacho, Rasmus, and Onana, I think we'll have enough funds to do what we need. There's literally no reason to sell Mainoo. So I don't really understand why he's in there. I don't get it. Oh. So one of the things with Sancho, see, this is what I missed. Galatasaray are also interested in Sancho. The price tag won't be a problem for suitors, but his wages will be. I mean, he's a prat. He's a prat. One of the updates is about Emi Martinez, saying United have strong interest in Emi. United made contact 6 months ago, but decided to stick with Andre Onana back then. I remember reading that the other day. And Lyons said that he believes that if Rasmus does go, it'll be a loan. One of the updates was that finding a new club for Rasmus is being set to priority status. United are seeking a straight sale, but may have to become open to initial loan. So I think they definitely want, if they can get a full sale from the bat, then they'll do it. If they can't, then they'll have to do what they've been doing with other players. They'll have to take the initial loan and try and get something out of it at the end. Apparently, Semenyo still remains a target for United, and Bournemouth would want £50 million, but I would only see maybe Semenyo would only happen if somehow this deal with Mbeumo doesn't happen. So, Ben Jacobs told us that United will move for Martinez if they can get him. He will be their choice. The feeling is that he will leave Villa. Well, I think we know that he's leaving. Do we so we're going to have the money to be able to do that at that time? Because as much as we need the goalkeeper, we definitely need to get the striker before anybody else. After, this Mbeumo thing, the striker must be the next one. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yeah, and here's another thing. Ruben feels United need to push the boat out and sign a top proven striker. He was never totally convinced about Liam Delap. Could elevate them sufficiently, but understood the good value such a deal would hold. Well, that's literally me and 90% of the fan base. Like, everybody's been saying we need a top proven striker. We've been saying it for weeks, for months. Even Ruben is basically saying the same thing. So, yeah, Gyokeres, get it done. Grace says, breaking, Man United are officially in talks with potential Ballon d'Or contender Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a 15-year lifetime contract, and has been reassured that he will be the next United captain. Are you saying that his life is coming to an end after 15 years? How do you have a lifetime contract but it's for 15 years? I think that's what that means. Are you saying that he's no longer going to be with us, Grace, after 15 years? if you have a lifetime contract, it can't be 15. Access if Mainoo goes away, I will go full Jupiter. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't condone it. I mean, you weren't here, Axe, but I literally said there's under zero circumstances the club and anybody and literally anybody. I don't give a shit who it is. There's absolutely zero they can say that would make me feel good about it, convince me that it's the right decision. There's literally nothing, and there's literally nobody at the football club or around the football club that can convince me that the sale of Kobbie Mainoo is a good idea, it's a good thing, or was the right thing. There's literally nothing. So, I mean, I'm not gonna go to Jupiter, but I'm definitely gonna go apeshit. For sure. We're gonna bid for Valverde, Pedri, Vitinha. Yeah. Ray says we are buying Beckham new number 7. Who's that? Nubis says, are we making any profits from selling Anthony Sancho Hoyland? We only make profits from Rashford, but his salary is massive and he only wants Barca. Barca are broke. I mean, profit? I don't know. Those are the things you really got to look. I mean, they're good points, Nubis. But the things that you really have to go into, because with Anthony, probably not, considering we paid about 85 million for him, or 90 or whatever it was. We gave him a 5-year contract. He's in year 3, which means he has 2 years, which means we've paid what is it, 85 million divided by 5. 1 divided by 5. 17 million over 5 years. 17 times 3. So we've paid 51 million. We've paid 51 million of Anthony's 85 million. I think it's 85 million. If we sell Anthony for 40, we would technically make 5 million profit. So you could make money there. Plus, you get the wages off the book, so you could recycle the wages and some of that funds into somebody else. Sancho, I don't know. Nice t-shirt. Thank you. It's Nike. It's really old, actually. It's not bad, right? I forgot I had it. Nike. I haven't worn it too much. To be honest, this thing kind of pisses me off here, so that's why I don't really wear it a lot. But yeah, alright, it's decent. It's a oldie. Rumor mill: LA striker Jonathan David wants to join Manchester United this summer, but they have not made an approach to sign him, according to Carrera dello Sport via Sport Witness. Is this the guy legit? Well, I read that earlier. I mean, I don't really want Jonathan David. I don't really rate him like that. I would say again, like I said before, I would say, listen, if you get him on a free and he's a backup, I'm not going to complain. But if you're getting him on a free and you're telling me this is the striker that we're going with next season to lead the line, I'm going to be like, nah, no. I ain't about it. Yeah, see, but I also disagree. Ray says cheap shit owners cash Mainoo out equals money for their players in. I mean, to a certain degree, I disagree. I mean, obviously the Glazers are the Glazers. They're dickheads. The situation with Ineos just is what it is. I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Actually, we actually went over this part, that if it wasn't for Sir Jim Ratcliffe putting in £235 million, we wouldn't be here. So you see this. This is from The Athletic. And this says most Premier League clubs should be safe from PSR trouble this month. You see how it says Manchester United £141 million. Before Sir Jim put in £235 million, Manchester United were at 15. So you see where Villa is at the bottom of this. This is why Villa are fucked right now. This is why Emmy is going, and they're gonna have to figure some things out. They've missed out on Champions League. They have a decently good squad, and they actually might have to get rid of numerous amounts of players because they're very low down there, and they're dangerous of getting hit with a PSR type of thing. Burnley is literally negative 20 million, so they definitely got to figure some shit out. But yeah, if they didn't actually put in this money, we would be all the way down at the bottom next to Villa, which would put us at risk. But the money he's put in, he's brought us up to 5th, which has saved us for the next 3 years at the very least, which actually has allowed us to be able to do the deals that we're actually doing right now. Otherwise, we would be very, very screwed. We would have no Cunha, and we definitely wouldn't be working on Mbeumo, for sure, because we would be sitting there saying we're absolutely fucked. We need to sell players, and we wouldn't have gotten a single player before we sold somebody. Now, maybe they probably would have sold Bruno, or they would have tried to push him out, for sure, harder, especially in that situation. But the F1 fan says Pookie Wookie. Who the hell is Pookie? Who's Pookie? I only know one Pookie, and that's Timu. And we don't need him. Thought on Verstappen, the F1 fan. I don't even know what Pookie. I don't even know what Pookie Wookie is. I don't even know what that is. I have no clue what that is. This is Chewbacca FC. Yeah, Ray doesn't like the owners. But he doesn't. He just doesn't want Mainoo to be sold. That's all it is. He doesn't agree with it. He doesn't agree with it. I don't agree with it either. I don't think it should happen. I just think if they decide to do it, it's just them being idiots. I think it's just the wrong choice. I think it's the wrong choice. You know what I mean? What did the rat do? You want me to explain this to you? All right. Let's go explain. I'll explain it to you. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. All right, where did that go? That didn't work out. Okay, X, you gotta relax. I don't. All right. Here we go. You want the story? I'll give you the story. So, yesterday came out from The Athletic and said Sir Jim Ratcliffe's £237 million cash injection into Manchester United raised United's 3-year PSR loss limit from £15 million to £105 million. So, because of that, as you can see here, we have 141 million, which means that we are safe from 2024-25 PSR breach. In fact, we are technically right now, we're sitting in the green for the next 3 years because of his investment. If he didn't put in that money, which is why in the interview that he gave, he said United were going to go bust by December, was because if he didn't put in that money, we would have been at 15 million pounds, and maybe it would have went negative, but we were going to be sitting at 15, which puts us at the bottom of this list near Villa. Now, if anybody's been paying attention, there's been a lot of stories around Villa about how they are actually not in a good position, and it's quite fucked. So, yeah, I mean, he's been investing. He's been investing again. You know, it doesn't make a whole, like, he's put in money already. He's put in actually quite a lot of money for somebody that owns 28% of the club. And I keep telling you this, even if it was me, I wouldn't put in so much money if I only own 28% and the Glazers are still there. Why am I going to wipe away my hundreds of millions for the fucking Glazers that still own 62% of the football? It doesn't make sense. I think he's doing what he can. That makes sense. But if he had full control of the club, I would expect him to put in a lot more money. Like, a lot more. If he had full control of the club and he was doing things like he's doing now and hasn't put in a lot of money, then I'd be like, well, what the fuck are you doing? But considering the situation, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put in. He's already put in a good amount for what he's got. I think if any money, if more money is going to come, then obviously he needs a higher percentage. So, which I don't know, you obviously have to give the Glazers more money because you got to pay them for their shares to get more. But, yeah, it's a weird sort of thing. He should put more. I would like him to put more, but again, I understand that it literally doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in the fact that because he only owns 28%, he should put more when he gets more. But I can't sit here and argue and say that he needs to put more because I just know that it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. It doesn't make sense. When you own 28% of the football club, why are you paying? Why are you double paying for the Glazers? They still own the majority. They fucked everything up. You have to pay them money to get more percentage, but then also you're putting in your own money to fix all the things that they fucked up, and they're just sitting there and doing nothing. So I think what Sajim is doing, to a certain extent, you don't have to agree that he did the deal with the Glazers, but this is the situation we're in. I think to a certain degree, I think what he's doing is sensible because he's put in a good chunk of money that has allowed him, in terms of him being in charge of the football operations and his people, has allowed them to actually operate and try and fix things and do things. Whereas before, they would obviously be quite heavily restricted. So the only reason why I think he's actually put in this money in this position is because he does have control of the football aspects, which allows him to make changes that can allow the club to make more money if they do good on the pitch. So, should replace Dave Brailsford. Listen, I don't really like. I don't necessarily like Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I don't actually like him. I didn't even want him to actually buy the club in any aspect because I wanted Qatari money. Because what I really wanted was for the other guys to walk in, be like, here's your money, fuck off Glazers, they're gone, never coming back, and the name will never be associated with us ever again. Then take the debt, put that shit at zero within 1.2 seconds, and then also pull out another 400 million and go buy a shit ton of players and the best people in class. But I always stand by the fact that the Glazers, they never wanted to get out and they weren't going to get out. And I think that that's the most truthful thing. I don't believe for 1 second that these guys were going to get out. Unless Qatar gave them 6, 7, 8 billion. Which was ridiculous because it was already it was already over the price. The club was valued at like 3.5 million at the time. And the Glazers said that they wanted 5 or 6. It's like You're literally asking for double, and it's not worth double. But they were asking for double. Like, you only do that as sort of, I see it almost kind of like as a gamble. Like, they didn't really want to get out, but they were like, yo, we'll kind of put it out there because, like, if somebody is crazy enough to come and give us double the worth of the current value of the club, then, like, we'll just, like, laugh to the bank with it, even though we don't really want to leave because we'd rather just stay in the game and stay for the long term because that's what business people do always until they're like, I mean, look at Warren Buffett. He literally just stepped down from whatever it is, Berkshire Hathaway. He just stepped down. How old is he? The guy basically went till the longest you could possibly go. This is what these people do. So, Ratcliffe making Glazers rich more again. How? How? How is he making them more rich? How is he making them more rich? They made themselves more rich because I mean, again, the club was valued at 3.5 billion before they were looking for a sale or they were looking for their partial investment. It was valued at like 3 billion. Go look at the valuation of Manchester United now. Why is it valued at 5.5 billion? The value of the club has gone up from before they put it for sale. It's gone up about 2 billion in value. Why? We've done nothing. They just started doing the thing with the stadium and it's not even going. So we don't have the stadium. We just had our worst season ever. We don't have anything sort of new. So how has the club value gone up to 5.5 billion? That's because the Qatar bid. And this is what I'm saying. Like, everybody thinks the Glazers are dumb people because of the way Manchester United has been operated as a football club, but they are smart when it comes to money. They are smart when it comes to business. They know all the loopholes, they know all the tricks, and they get away with a lot of shit. They took over our club in a way that nobody can even do anymore, but nobody ever did that before anyway. They're the only ones. They are the only ones that have ever done some sort of thing like that and profited over it. And they're smart. They never they never intended to sell this football club. They literally used these guys to up the valuation of Manchester United for their own gain, and then also go and take a partial investment. And then ask for more money in the partial investment, because if the value of the club is 3.5 billion and you want somebody to partially invest, you're partially investing off of 3.5 billion. But when Qatar come and they offer 5 billion, the club is now worth 5 billion. Therefore, you now have to pay a partial investment fee for 5 billion and not 3 billion. And they were always going to do this. They were always going to do this. Because what they could have done was, if Sir Jim didn't offer it, they would have just rejected the Qatar thing because it didn't work with Qatar, clearly. It didn't work with Qatar. They kept saying, we want Qatar to pay this money. Qatar didn't want to do it. They gave them a certain amount. They made their argument that we're giving you this cash, but we also, the other 500 billion, is for 500 billion. 500 million is for the debt included in it. And they were just going to reject it and go back to, one of these other guys, American venture capitalists. Maybe they would have taken, 2, 3 of them at smaller percentages. Maybe they would have took 10% each from 3 different companies, gave them 30%. They would still divide and conquer. And yeah, it would have been, I need to bid for the club. I would love nothing more than to bid for the club. I wish I had the money. I wish I had the money. What I would really love is, what I would love is if there was a way for me to be able to get. I would love to do the math on United fans and see if we could get somehow like some sort of a fundraiser thing where we all put money in together and we actually get the money to actually kick them out and pay them off and tell them to fuck off. And then we just take the club back. And then we could be the only club in the Premier League that's actually, fan-owned, where we own the club and we elect our presidents, just like Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, etc. That would be the greatest situation ever. Because we would never have to worry about the club ever ending up in the situation that it's in again. So, because we would maintain control, and all the people, that become president, they have to do a good job, or they lose, or they get voted out, they get sacked. Which makes it fair. It makes it fair. Like, makes it fair. Like, keeps it balanced. Like, you have to perform or you get fucked. That's why I look at Florentino like he's been there forever, right? But I mean, look at the job Florentino does for Real Madrid. Look at the job he's done for them. I don't know how many years it's been. How many Galactico teams has he put together? How successful have they been? He deserves to stay there. He deserves to keep getting voted in because he hasn't done anything wrong to the Real Madrid club or to the fans. He's done what they all wanted him to do, pretty much, which is just make them as successful as possible. Then we have the opposite. We have tyrants who have destroyed our football club, and they can suffer no repercussions because we have no power against them, and we literally can't do anything to them. I mean, we tried to protest, we tried to do things, and we still can't get anywhere near to the point that we got to get to. The problem is a dangerous line because you could always. I mean, people say this all the time. I guess maybe because they're big channels, they got something to lose. Maybe you could get sued for it, and I guess it depends where you live as well. You can get in trouble for it. But many people say they don't advocate for violence. They don't advocate for violence in that way, but the only time that the Glazers actually shit themselves and were actually worried was when we broke in, not we, but the United fan base, the United fans, went to Old Trafford, broke into the stadium, and got the Liverpool United game called off in COVID. That was the only time that they actually gave a fuck as to what we were doing. They don't care when the fans are marching down the street to Old Trafford and they already have your season ticket money. And they don't care if fans are there holding signs saying Glazers out and singing songs Glazers are going to die when they're still selling all the shirts and everybody is still watching the team and everybody is still paying to go see. They don't care. But what they can't have is Manchester United matches being called off, because that's revenue. That's money. And that's why many people used to say empty the stadium. Because if you empty the stadium, it's a bad look, but also there's loads of people in there that they're not season ticket holders, that they are people that just go there for a match. They're losing that money. If you empty the stadium enough for a certain period of time, the Glazers will drop to their knees because they can't, as you can see, with the way Sir Jim has had to fix things because of the way the club was going, and it's sort of a double-edged sword because if we don't fix things, United is only going to get worse. Now, some people might argue, I'm willing to take that if that means the Glazers go, but, you know, it could get like Mike Ashley levels at Newcastle. You know, that how bad and how shit that got for how long that was. No money, nothing. Suffering for years and years and years. I still think they would try to hold out as long as possible. So it is like a double-edged sword, because if you want United to do better, unfortunately, the Glazers are attached to that. So if United do better, that means the Glazers do better as well. So it's a big issue. You know what I mean? It's a big. Nubis says sell my kidney. Listen, if my kidney was worth that much, I would have sold it a long time ago. Is that a LA Galaxy top you're wearing? No, it's just a regular Nike. Just a Nike. It's just a Nike shirt. It's like, it's, you know, it's football themed. Like it's supposed to be, you know, kind of like a, I guess like a training jersey or something. Like something you would wear to practice or something like that. Yeah, it's just a, it's old though. This is old. You know how old this is? Probably like over 10 years old. And it fits me. Although, to be fair, this was probably big when I bought it on me. So, yeah, we ought to implement an ownership model. I mean, if we could, Axe, I would do it, but I know for a fact that we'll never be able to do it, and it's never gonna happen. So, the only way it would happen, Axe, is you know how it would happen. And it's the only way that would happen. And this is why it's not going to happen, because I don't think there's actually somebody out there that I don't think there's somebody out there that would do this, because it would have to be like the most, you would either have to be like dying or something, or something like that. But the only way it would happen is if there is some person out there that is, you know, billions and billions of dollars worth money. Like, let's say Elon Musk, for example. They got to have some sort of Elon money. But then also, you know, Elon's obsessed with space and shit. We need that same type of money, but then the same type of obsession, but instead of space, it has to be Manchester United. And then they buy the club from the Glazers, they get rid of the debt, and then they give the club to us and give it to the fans. That's the only way that would ever happen. Because of, you know, the whole system, the Premier League, the way it's going. And that's never going to happen, unfortunately. And maybe, you know, if the whole Premier League collapses one day and all the money goes out of it and everybody kind of just jumps ship and the league turns kind of to shit or something, which I can't see it happening, but if there was some sort of catastrophic, maybe sort of world event or something, the markets get fucked and everything gets fucked. You know, maybe all the money gets pulled out, and then maybe English football just goes back to the fans in general. But yeah, I mean, like it's just not, you know. Hilver and Mason says this guy's kill our club. We are in a mess. I mean, yeah. Nubis is burn Old Trafford. I don't know if you would do that though, Nubis, because they might have insurance on that. I'm actually surprised that maybe they haven't tried to do that already. You know, the mafia in the movies where they used to like get a brand new car or something. But they would get an old car with insurance, and they would like have somebody else come by and light it on fire, so they get like money for it. You know? Something like that. United fans all around the world unite. Unfortunately, even though our name is United, we're not really united. It's too much division in the fan base. So, You know, it's too much. Too much. Too many people can't. I mean, they can't. They can't come together because they can't agree on, you know, if they think one player is good and one player is bad. And it's like, I see it all the time. Like, not for nothing, but like, you know, Goldbridge gets a lot of hate and a lot of people hate Goldbridge. And I'm like, you don't have to like him, but he does have a fucking, the largest, you know, the largest channel. And actually, I mean, if you're trying to accomplish something as a united fan base, you should want to work with the guy to use a platform that's that large to try and get some type of ownership change or something. But you know, there's people that hate him and hate his guts, and they refuse to get involved in that way. So everybody kind of just starts going on their own little path. You know, you have the 58, and the 58 do their thing, but the 58 refuse to work with certain people, and it's like, well, then, you know, we're not going to get anything accomplished. If we had people like the 58, and then we had all the biggest United channels that are out there with the biggest subscribers, and they all got together and made one unified message and push, maybe you could actually have an impact. But as long as we have, you know, the 58 refusing to work with like these two YouTubers because they're YouTubers and they do fan content and we don't agree with that shit and all this shit, you know, it's just nothing's ever gonna happen. Nothing's ever. That's why I kind of gave up on it. I kind of gave up. If only you were Targaryen and ride a dragon. Problem solved. Well, listen. If I was a Targaryen and I could ride a dragon, I tell you where I'm driving. I tell you where I'm riding the fucking dragon to. I'm going to Florida, because you know what's in Florida? The Glazer's house. So I'm going to Florida with the dragon. Very retro. I like it. I mean, yeah, it is like 10 plus years old. I don't know how old it is. So technically, I guess maybe you could kind of say it's kind of retro. We need to revolt. My comments instigating violence against the Glaciers have been removed. Yeah, dude, Axe, you're not allowed to instigate violence. Like, I'm not saying I'm doing that. You literally are not allowed to instigate violence on YouTube. You can actually be arrested for that in some countries. Like, you literally can't do that. So, when you instigate violence, even if it's against the Glazers and you feel like that's a rightful cause, YouTube is going to remove it. Heverin Mason says, do you think the Qatar will come back in to buy the club? I think if this... It's a good question. My initial thought probably to it would be, if this ends in a 100% disaster, in terms of we're trying to save money, which is why we're doing all the cuts and shit, and we're trying to fix things. Now, you could do that to a certain extent, but that ain't gonna fix it over necessarily the long term to the degree. Because what has to happen actually is United need to be successful in the pitch. Now, if United and this situation here with Ineos, if this doesn't go particularly well, doesn't bode well, and we don't end up finishing, you know, let's say in the next 3 years, we don't make the Champions League and we don't make Europe consecutively in the next 3 seasons, then I feel like this whole thing collapses. Then I don't really know what comes out of that, though, because I think there's a lot of implications that have to go there. What happens to the new stadium? Is that solely tied to Ineos? Because if Ineos goes, and Ineos are the ones that are... The Glazers never knew how to go about it. Ineos are the ones that are doing it. and Ineos are the ones that are leading it. So if Ineos goes, does that project stop? Does that thing fall apart? We're also going to be, 2 years into building it or whatever, supposedly. Does that thing fall apart? Does the Glazers stick around? I feel like there's always a possibility. I'll make it a little bit more simpler because we're getting, too down the rabbit hole. With Qatar, I think very much if there ever arises a situation where this thing goes very south and it gets worse than maybe it was potentially before, as to a point where the Glazers are almost basically fucked in terms of like they need to sell, they need to get out because they're going to lose everything or a lot, then I think Qatar will come back in. I think what Qatar is doing right now is Qatar is sitting and waiting and watching. And I think they're looking at the situation and they're going to see how it plays out. And I think obviously they're probably hoping that this fails because they'll probably come out on top for it. Because if it fails and it fails bad, I would only assume that the value of the club would have to go down. Which means that if the Glazers are, forced into a corner where they don't really have options or their best option becomes Qatar full sale, I would assume Qatar would probably end up getting it for less than the 5 billion that they offered originally. So, and I mean, as of right now, as far as I know, Qatar they haven't tried to go for any other football club in the Prem or anything like that. They could very well do. I mean, they could literally just do, they could literally just pick a club at this point they want. They could literally pick any club, take it over and kind of just, do what City did, which is invest some money little by little, try and build it up. And after, 5 years or something like that, they should be at a better place and they should be able to spend more money. But they haven't been interested. There was talk after it that, they were looking, maybe they were going to go for Spurs or maybe a Villa or something like that. But that never happened. So I feel like they're kind of just sitting there waiting and they're just watching. And I feel like also probably they feel like that they don't actually believe that this is going to work out, which is why I think they're sitting there and waiting. Because I actually think that they think that this is probably going to fail. And so they're just being patient about it. Because I think they actually think it won't be too long before they're able to actually come back in. I don't know. But that's one part that my brain is thinking like, if they were so interested in solely going for to be involved in the Prem, they would have went for another team by now. They haven't done that. So they are super serious about Manchester United. They specifically want Manchester United. But they can't do anything about it right now because of how it turned out. So now the only thing they can do is sit and wait. And I guess hope for them, hope that it goes wrong. So they have the opportunity to come back in. So Elon going through a breakup at the moment. Yeah, I seen that. Mason says we have to work together so that we can make an impact. Watching from Dominica, Caribbean island. Oh, damn. Well, shout out Dominica in the Caribbean island. I was thinking the same way. Baba's here, says hello guys, GGMU, and Andero has joined us as well, says hi everyone. Well, to be quite honest though, I've enjoyed the Friday freestyle, but I do have to get off because it is getting late and I gotta go do things. And we've been live for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I was only gonna give you an hour and 45 minutes. I gave you an extra hour because I felt generous. So, if anybody wants to put in any final parting comments for today, I will give you the time to do that. Put them in the chat, and I'll make sure to read them off. Any questions or whatever, I'll get to those before we get out of here. So I'll give you like a grace period, pun intended, because, grace. But I give you a grace period. So if you want to put in any comments or anything, Undero says, "All right, hi, I see you, everyone." I mean, you could say something, Undero. I'm not gonna like. I'm just letting you know that like in the next couple minutes, like, you know, but you can, you know, if you have an opinion or anything, Mbeumo, whatever, Gyokeres we were talking about, or I mean, we were just talking about the ownership for a while. So, Box says, "Can we put John Cross in a locked room with Khabib?" I mean, that would be good. Was that John Cross from the wait, which John Cross is that? Is that from the Daily Star? John Cross. The Mirror. John Cross. Or the actor. Oh, the Mirror. Yeah, the Mirror. Yeah, I think we should do that. I agree. I agree. Look at this guy, John Cross, the Mirror. Here we are. Look at him. Chief football writer. You want to hear his bio? Listen to this guy. Football loving writer who spends much of his life on motorways getting to games all over the country. Passionate about football, my job, and the Mirror. The Premier League is the best in the world, as always. The Premier League is the best in the world, and always believe England has a chance. Author of Arsene Wenger, the inside story of Arsenal under Wenger. So he's an Arsenal fan. Yeah, he's an Arsenal fan. There you go. All right, so I wish I knew that when I read that update, because that makes sense. But also, I mean, you're a chief football writer, and you were giving us information from 3 weeks ago. And also, it was a shit update. Because you're talking about Viktor Gyokeres and your own football club. Dude, you are... Bro, just wrap this around your head. You are a chief football writer. Your football club is going for Benjamin Sesko. You literally have Fabrizio Romano giving better updates on your own football club about a player that they're going for than you are as a chief football writer, and it's your football club. And Fabrizio's talking about Sesko, and you're writing an article about Viktor Gyokeres, which isn't happening. How does this guy have a job? How does this guy have a job? Because if I'm his boss, exactly what I just said, I would have said to him. And I'd have been like, fuck out of my office. You're fired. Go work for the Sun or some shit. I don't know. You know, what are we doing here? How can you be an Arsenal fan and also be a chief football writer and you can't give us a decently good update? I mean, you said something and it got deleted. Well, again, see, when you do that, if we deleted it, it would say comment removed. So clearly, you know, whatever, I don't know what you said. But clearly YouTube has a problem with what you're saying, Ax. So I can't help you on that. I don't agree with some of YouTube's restrictions and stuff like that. I don't like how they necessarily silence people, especially when it's just speaking about a topic and people aren't even cursing or anything. They're just giving an opinion. And I've seen them do that. And I've seen them ban people's channels for shit like that. I definitely don't agree with that stuff, but I got nothing I can do about that. Andera says, okay, I would say this. We definitely better get Gyokeres after we've netted Mbeumo. Otherwise, it's Mateta or busts, especially if we loan out Rasmus as well. We can't be slow on these transfers. Well, I agree to the fact that we definitely better get Gyokeres after we netted Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo will probably be done in the next... Probably in the next 5 days or so, I think. Could be tomorrow, to be honest. But, yeah, probably somewhere in the next 5 days, considering that we put in one bid, it got rejected. We put in the second bid. The second bid is basically what they've asked for. So we did that. So I think it's just a matter of time. So it probably won't even take 5 days, but I would be surprised if it goes over 5 days. I don't think it. I don't think it will. You know, in terms of like official, but we should be getting like a here we go. You know, at the very least. It says it's Mateta or bust. I mean, I would probably agree because again, whoever's left out there, if it ain't Mateta, you know, there's Jonathan David on the free. Nah, don't really like it. There's Gonzalo Ramos apparently. I mean, I'd rather take Mateta than both those guys. There was always talk of like Vlahovic. I mean, he's not that good anymore, right? He was hot for like a season or two, and it's not the same now. So yeah, I mean, and I think Mateta's probably kind of hard because, as we were talking about before, Crystal Palace are in Europe, and I think if they weren't, there's a few of the players like Eze and Wharton and stuff that you could maybe get out of there. But the fact that they're in there, I think a lot of those players are very reluctant. It puts the club in a stronger position, but I actually think there's less urgency from any of the players to kind of move. I think they're probably kind of happy with like, you know, the managers that's come in. I think they like they like how things are going under him. They like the fact that they got into Europe, and I think they're probably looking at it like, yeah, what's one more year? You know, what's one more season? Might as well just stay here and see how it goes. Maybe we could do something cool. You know, and then we leave. So I feel like that's what's happening right now. So let me double check before we get out of here. Let me double check. Double check to see if we got any news. Any news? All right, not really news, but it's, apparently Cunha has updated his Instagram bio and says at Manchester United now instead of at Wolves. So yeah, there's that. That's pretty much it. Patrick Vieira is managing Genoa. I didn't know that either. Liverpool have made an improved 100 million plus 13 million pound offer to Bayer Leverkusen for Florian Wirtz. Told the bid actually went in towards the beginning of this week. Positive talks continue. I mean, holy shit, dude. Are they still going to be able to buy after that? 100 million plus 13 million in add-ons. Oh, there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about. Somebody almost forgot. The media reports that United are offering more than 60 million for Bryan Mbeumo are misleading. Man United will offer a base / guaranteed amount of 50 to 55 million pounds with up to 10 million in add-ons. These add-ons are related to the player performances and team achievements. So, yeah. Remember that, because that is the truth, and that is what is really going on. But when you see journalists or whatever articles, and they're going to say United are paying, 65 million or something, but we're not paying 65 million. We're going to pay 50 or 55, and the 10 million will be in add-ons, but those add-ons don't get paid unless, he has to score a certain amount of goals, or we have to finish in a certain position in the Premier League, which is then, it kind of balances itself out, because I mean, if we're paying the extra 10 million in add-ons, whether it's like 5 and 5, it's like whatever, that means that he's performing well, so it's like worth the money, so it's fine. So I I mean, Karina says Bryan Mbeumo is not worth 250K. I don't think he's getting that wage, Karina. I don't. I seen that. I seen somebody say 250,000 a week. I just seen somebody else say 200,000 a week. I don't think he's getting that wage. I don't think it's going to be that high. I don't. I would be quite stunned if he ends up getting 250,000 a week, because I think I agree. I don't think he's worth 250,000 a week. Also, I don't like that because yeah, he's Premier League proven and he's had a breakout season this season, and the other two seasons weren't bad. They were decently good, but this season was obviously his best season. But when you're getting 45,000 a week currently and we're buying you, you have to at the very least, you got to come perform at Manchester United first before we give you a 205,000 per week increase. You know what warrants a 205,000 per week increase? Like, I could see maybe if you give him 125, 150, maybe. But 250,000, that just it makes no sense. I would be quite stunned if we end up, even if they say we're giving him 200,000 a week, I would be quite stunned that we've actually gone that high. Because I don't think that actually fits with what Ineos want to do. I don't think it doesn't reward incentive wise. Like, he's gotten, I don't know how many times that is. Times what? 45,000 times. It's about 40. It's about times 5 his wage. Between like 4.5 and 5 times his wage. Where's the sort of like, this incentive like that Ineos have sort of tried to be saying that they're pushing, that we will give you a wage and then we will be willing to give you a higher wage if you perform well and you help the club perform well. I don't see how you can give somebody 5 times the wage they're on right now before they've even kicked the ball for Manchester United. It doesn't make sense. So I don't think it'll happen. I think the media, for whatever reason, the media are being very weird with this transfer, because they didn't do it with Cunha. With Cunha, they were chill. They were relaxed. But for whatever reason, with Mbeumo, they don't like this shit at all. They seem like they're very pissed off at the fact that there was Newcastle and there was maybe Arsenal to a certain extent, and there was maybe 1 or 2 other clubs, and he's decided to reject all of them to come to us. And for whatever reason, it seems like that they are trying to cause hate within our fan base for people to be against this transfer, when actually we should be happy, because I think he's a quality player and we're actually making a second good signing. But they seem to be writing weird shit where we're paying well over 65 million for him, and he's getting 250,000 a week to make the deal. They're like trying to rain on our parade. They're trying to piss off United fans for what I don't know what the ultimate goal is. Maybe they're just salty. Maybe they're just jealous, and they're just, they're trying to be dickheads about it. But I mean, because I agree, Karina, at the same time. Like, it don't mean he only came to us for wages. And that means that we're doing no different than what we did before. And also, the reports that he actually wants to come to United because he wants to come to United because it's United and he likes the club. will actually be all fake then, because then it's not the club, it's the money. And there says no, it won't be 250K, it would be more like 150, which I think is fine. I think, and even Lyle says Mbeumo rumored to be getting 165K per week. That's roughly 8.5 million. Yeah, and I think that price is, I think that price fits. I think it works. I think it's good. I think it's fair. I think it's, because clearly, obviously, you're always going to get a raise, right? When you go from one club to another, you're always going to get a pay increase of some sort. And that's about, I mean, it's more than double, but for what he'd done last season at Brentford, and then like his experience and stuff, and being a Premier League guy, and then in terms of the hierarchy of wages, I think if you give him like 150, 160, like that's pretty reasonable. And then maybe you could put something in the contract with some incentive bonuses, or, you know, you could kind of just say, listen, you know, obviously, if you do a good job, then like, you know, in 2-3 years time, when we renegotiate a contract, we'll be willing to give you more money because we'll obviously want to keep you and you deserve to get a pay increase. So like, because that's what we need to do. Obviously, we've been needing to do that. We've been needing to tell players, listen, we're obviously not going to give you, like, he gets 45K right now. Like, we're not going to give you, like, 50. We'll obviously give you more because it's just normal. We'll give you more. And you might feel like you're worth this and be like, we have no problem paying you this, but you have to prove to us first. Because they have to sit there and explain, while you've done very good for Brentford and in the Premier League as well, but you have to understand this is Manchester United and there's different circumstances. So we have no problem giving you more money when we see the performances. We will literally give it to you. But we need to start somewhere, and let's see you put in the work. And then when you do it, we will literally reward you. Instead of like before, where we're just like, please come to us, and overpaid the shit out of them. And then they came to us and they're like, yeah, I don't really want to be here. This place kind of sucks, or I don't really like it. And they're like, I'm not really going to try. I'm just going to stick around for the money, I guess. I could force my way out maybe, but they paid me all this money and I ain't going to get it from anywhere else. So I might as well just, you know, fuck around. That's pretty much where we've ended up. So, let me think. So I don't think I'm going to stream tomorrow. Well, it depends because I don't know what news we're going to get, but I don't plan on streaming tomorrow. I gotta definitely take another day off because I'm struggling right now. The work schedule and doing these types of streams, and then also trying to fit everything else in, like working out and eating dinner and going to bed at an appropriate time to wake up at 4 in the morning, is quite pain in the ass. And it's not really working out too well. So I don't know. What I'm planning on doing is streaming either Sunday or Monday. So I'll let you guys know. For those of you that are in the Discord, you obviously know in the Discord because I always let you know in the Discord, so you'll know for sure. And it's the easiest, fastest way. I mean, you literally get it immediately to your phone. For those of you that are not in the Discord, I will put a post in the community tab of the channel, which it's a little bit less direct because, I mean, it has to pop up in your, you know, subscription feed if you go in there. And sometimes it doesn't pop up there. Sometimes it pops up in some weird place I've seen. But then obviously, worst comes to worst, you have to go into the channel and go into the community tab and actually like look at the community tab and see when I posted it. So, you know, so I don't plan to stream tomorrow. But the thing is, this is the thing. We're at this moment right now where, like, you know, the window's open and it's summer. So for all I know, tomorrow we could have one of the largest breaking news days for all I know. So I might have to actually go live because sometimes some shit happens. You just, like, you have to go live. You can't, like, not, You know what I mean? You can't like not go live to cover and talk about it. So I don't plan to do it. I'll try to keep you updated in a way about it so that at least you guys know. If something is like really, really big, like for example, if tomorrow we get Here We Go Mbeumo from Fabrizio, then obviously if I'm home, I'll have to go live because I am working tomorrow. So, you know, if it happens, if we get Here We Go before 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow, I won't even be able to go live. But I'll probably just go live after anyway because we would have to cover it. So, Karina says that players' wages should be on par with their performances on the pitch. Suddenly, all players would turn into Maradonas. Yeah. Well, I mean, especially our players, right? And our team. You know, I always think back to that time when, like, you know, when we gave Rashford that contract, and there was many people that said we shouldn't give him that contract because he's going to drop off. And I didn't necessarily believe it because I expected better from him, I guess, if you want to say it like that. And now when I sit here and think about it, I'm like, maybe they were fucking right. Like, maybe we shouldn't have given him that contract because I feel like we gave him that contract and it just fucked everything up. And it was like, to me, it was like he got that wage and it just almost like shifted his mentality of like, I don't need to try and I don't really need to care anymore. I'm on cruise control at this place, which is like, you can't have that attitude and mentality, especially when you're playing professional sports, because that's how you fall off. You know what I mean? And I just, every time I think about it, I'm like, it was that moment that we fucked that up. He should have never gotten that high of a wage. And we should have been, you know, stern. We should have been firm with him. And like, Marcus, we respect you. Obviously, we love you. You came from this academy, but we're not giving you fucking 300,000 a week because it's not good for the club, but also you need to keep your fucking, you know, your head down. And also, it's not like we won a Premier League or a Champions League out of it anyway. So it was totally wrong. It was totally wrong. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here now, guys, for real. So thank you to everybody. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to the members, the VIP members like Lyle and Lions. We're missing some. Grace was here before as well. Shout out Grace. Mod and member. First member. She would want me to say that for sure. She was the first one. So shout out Nubis Kubis as well. Rajat and everybody else. And T.O. and everybody. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. We'll chat in the Discord. I'll drop the link in the comments after I end the live. There'll be the Discord link in there if you're interested and you're not in there already. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Friday. Another good Friday freestyle. I enjoyed it. It was a good conversation. And yeah, we'll talk soon. We'll talk in, you know, the next couple of days. I'll try and keep you guys updated. I'm sorry I suck at this whole scheduling thing, but hopefully one day we could just have a set schedule for sure. And then maybe we'll have a couple of surprise days. But when things are going the way they're going, I can't. I'm very bad at that sort of thing. So, Lion says, great stream, Eric, so long. And thanks for all the fit. Lion says, cheers, Eric, and all your reds. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. If you didn't hit the like button, just make sure you hit the like button on the way out because it is important to the channel. So, we have 29 likes though, so we have smashed it. And shout out to all the new subscribers. I did see the count there has gone up by at least 10. Maybe that's accurate. So we're getting there. We will get to 3,500. I'm sure of it for sure. And we'll go above that as well. So shout out to all of you. Thank you for the support. Love you all. Be good. We'll chat a little bit in the Discord. And I'll keep you guys updated on the next one coming soon. So be good.